Big Red Junkies.
Day by day, he gets better and better. He gets better and better. Team JPP, Oh man, woman and child, he just turned this stadium inside out.
I feel like Elijah has a reason for this, but he told me pre-show, he's like, I'll give you a leaning, but I'm not going to give you my actual predictions. Is this because you have a show coming up you have to save this for?
A little bit of both. So we, on one hand, there's twofold. Okay, first off, I'll start with this. Our season predictions are coming up next week on Hail Varsity Radio.
Okay.
So I don't want to take away the thunder from doing that.
Yep.
Also,
sure, that's fair.
I'm not 100% sure because you still have stuff coming out from like Iowa with their gambling investigation. They just lost a starting defensive tackle this year. Is that going to change my prediction for them on the year? Maybe.
And they might not be done losing players.
They might not be done losing players. I mean, you have issues like guys still getting injured during fall camp. We're going to get word out next week from depth charts. I mean, most of the Big Ten West doesn't have depth charts out where you're going to have some surprise names that are on top of the depth chart. So on one hand, yes, I will give you a lean, but I am dubious of locking in an actual record prediction. But I will tell you the way I'm going, and I have for you guys. My buddy down in Arizona, who is more in tune with the sports gaming side of things than I do, he has sent me a picture of some early season lines for every single one of Nebraska's games, so I can also let you know what Vegas is feeling, and I'll use that as the segment goes on. But I would be surprised if we get to the end of the segment and I lock in an official record prediction. But I think you can read in between the lines with what I say and maybe get a good feel for what I'm feeling.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'll take it.
So
everything he leans towards, that's fact, and that's what he's taking for sure.
That's what he's taking for sure.
I wish I could get away with the same excuse.
I was going to say, and Jed doesn't get the same fucking excuse.
Jed's all the same.
Plain and simple. Jed does not have another show or a job that relies on him keeping some of that information to himself.
As if I keep most of my stuff to myself anyway.
So, jumping right off, the place we're going to be in 8 fucking days.
Can't wait.
Thank God. Up in Minneapolis.
Technically, we'll be up there in 7 days, but the game is 8 days.
We're going to be at Lions Pub in on exactly
Wednesday,
7 days.
Yep.
To the hour.
I believe if you guys are there from 4 to 6 next Wednesday, I believe Hail Varsity Radio with Chris Schmidt. I'll be stuck in Lincoln, but I believe he's going to be doing the show Wednesday night from the Lions Pub because it's the Minnesotans for Nebraska event there, I believe.
Yes, I think so. I wish we were going to be there that early. We have an ultrasound, like the 34-week ultrasound or whatever, at 3:30, and then we're jumping in the truck and driving up.
Well, there's a good chance that Schmidt will be there drinking afterwards, knowing Schmidt, and knowing how sports talk radio is in Nebraska.
We'll try to find him if he's out there. We're staying in the embassy right there. So,
well, I'll give you the secret. Just say you love Hail Varsity Radio. He'll buy you a drink.
Well, my oldest son and I, we will be getting up there right around 5:30, 6 o'clock, depending on traffic and everything else. So there's a chance for us. Yeah.
Go check it out. And if
walk
anyone
in
else,
the suit. Maybe see if he recognizes you.
I'll say, if anyone else out there listening, if you're going to be up in Minneapolis, Lions Pub on Wednesday night. Thursday, I think he's doing it from the lobby of the Graduate Hotel before the game. So if you're staying at the Graduate as well, come check out Hail Varsity Radio. There's my plug for the show.
There you go. Nice. There you go. It's a cool bar. It is a Nebraska bar all year round. It doesn't matter when you're there. Have you been there?
I have not.
Oh,
I haven't either.
It actually kind of reminds me of an old school Valentino's. If you ever went to an old school Valentino's with the stained glass windows everywhere and the red and the white stuff,
that's like it's obscure reference that I didn't know.
It was a very 80s, like 70s, 80s, early 90s look.
Yeah,
and like the green covered leather booth seats and shit like that. Like it's an old school bar. It's double sided. It's huge. They have like a lot of alumni band guys come in and play stuff during the games. And it's a fun time.
It's
and
a
if you're
neat
there,
place, especially when the Huskers are in town.
Yeah, if you're there directly after a game, oh my God, is it a shit show? It is.
Don't expect to drink much.
So
it's going to be fucking packed.
Oh yeah, and we'll be drinking it all. So hopefully celebrating.
Yes.
As we're about to get to. Minnesota, Jed, lay it on us.
Well, you're going to hear me say this a lot.
Fuck the boat?
The word toss-up game. There's. I know a couple shows ago you tried to get me to do this, and I probably pissed you off by saying, I don't know, toss-up.
Yeah,
I don't know,
toss-up. You wouldn't say it at all.
I know that I have to get a little more nailed down this time because we're a week away from the season. I still believe that this is a very competitive game. We'll get into that in our game preview show on our next one, more in depth in this game. I'm going to go with a win, but I think it's going to be very close and very competitive.
Jed is booking the win.
Wow, I'm not going to book it. I'm just going to say it. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. Bare minimum, even if Minnesota wins, they're not covering the 7.5 points, whatever it is right now.
I think that's very fair. You don't have any obscure stats for us or anything like that?
That's for the it's a couple of days
You don't
away.
want to
Yeah.
No, I'm so excited about it though.
I did start my preview notes for the game earlier today, but I'll save that for our next show.
Do you have a prediction?
Okay,
you have thoughts?
I'll lay out some thoughts on the game because I'm not going to be here for the preview show next week. So this will be a little bit of my preview. I have some reasons for optimism and some reasons for pessimism. You guys want to start with optimism or pessimism?
Doesn't matter. You're going to say both of them anyway.
Okay, we'll start with optimism then. Optimistically, you look at this. Kaliakmanis is a quarterback that, while he was good at the end of last year, he's a little limited in what he does. He's not going to be the guy who's going to beat you with his arm all game long. He's good on his legs. He's a dual-threat quarterback, but he's not one of those guys from the quarterback position that I think you have to circle in the scouting report and say, this guy can beat us single-handedly. That's not who Kaliakmanis is.
Which is funny because his
quarterback.
nickname is the Greek Rifle, but yeah, no, I agree.
No, he's just, simply put, he's not a guy that, like, whenever you show up for a game, he's not like Manziel. I mean, there's not many Manziels out there, but there's quarterbacks in the Big Ten. C.J. Stroud last year. You think back to what Purdue had with O'Connell over the past couple of seasons. A guy that you said, this guy is going to absolutely kill us unless we have a perfect game plan for him. Yep. That's not Kaliakmanis. What Minnesota is offensively is a team that is going to try to be, much like what Nebraska wants to be under Matt Rule over the next couple of years, a team that is going to physically beat you down as the game goes on. They're going to let their offensive line wear on you. Their 3-yard runs turn into 6-yard runs by the fourth quarter. Their play action that you're not biting on in the first quarter, by the fourth quarter you're biting on it, and it leaves Kaliakmanis with a great 40-yard throw to a guy who's single covered and has beat the top off the defense. So that is a reason for optimism for me, is that the quarterback is not somebody that's going to beat you. And really offensively as a whole, it's not an offense that I see setting the Big Ten West alight. It's not going to be a case of your offense having to keep up. And where I stand right now with the Husker team is that the defense is going to be ahead of the offense. It's going to be a lower scoring game. You're definitely going to have a chance. I'm with you when I say this is going to be a tight game in the fourth quarter. You're going to have opportunities to go win this football game. Defensively, their defensive line isn't that strong. Another reason for optimism. They lost some talent there in terms of a game where your offensive line can go build some confidence and show they're better than they were last year. It's not Michigan you're going up against. It's not Illinois you're going up against. Your offensive line is going to be able to create some holes, at least from what I see right now against this Minnesota front. You should be able to get some run game going. Is it going to be 200 yards like Matt Rule wants? I'm not willing to say that right now, but I think Nebraska's going to find some success on the ground, which is another reason for optimism. And just simply put, your reason for optimism is Nebraska hung with this team last year despite the fact they didn't have Casey Thompson, and I think they're going to be able to hang with them again. Pessimistically, this is game one at Minnesota, and Minnesota fans have showed up for game ones in year past. I mean, that crowd was rocking against Ohio State. Was that last year or was that 2 years ago? Whenever Ohio State went up there on a Thursday
I know what you're
night.
talking about, but
Minnesota hung with them for 3 quarters because the crowd really kept Minnesota in that
2 years ago,
game.
because that was when Ibrahim got injured in the second quarter.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that was a Thursday night to start the season.
Thursday night to start the
yeah.
game, and Minnesota was absolutely rocking for that one.
Yes.
It's going to be a tough environment to go play in. I know the red travels well. That's still going to be a lot of Minnesota fans, and really tough for a team that's going to have some young guys that haven't played in the Big Ten, haven't played in front of crowds like this. That's going to be tough to deal with. Also, offensively, the question to me is how much are you going to be able to get your passing game involved? I mean, whenever you look at it right now, you lose Xavier Betts. Marcus Washington's missed almost all of fall camp with first the wrist injury, now the knee injury. And I think the coaching staff feels he's going to be ready to go for Minnesota. How ready to go is he going to be from missing all of fall camp? Health-wise, I think he's probably going to be ready, but from having the playbook down, being in football shape, is he going to be ready to go? Because if not, the receivers you're relying upon are Alex Bullock, Ty Hahn. Billy Kemp is a name that we'll throw in there.
I was just waiting for you to say his name.
But his favorite player. Right?
I didn't throw him in there because, obviously, that's going to be a main
president of the
pass-catching
fan club
threat.
over there. So
That's going to be a main pass-catching threat. And then Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda, who flashed in his, 2 games last year. Yeah. We don't know all that much about him, despite the fact that a lot of people out there are high on what he could be.
Last week he was all the talk.
last week he was all the talk. I am still a wait-and-see guy with him in terms of prove it in a new offense.
At least consistency.
Sure. Like the guy that I'm willing to say, yeah, that guy's going to be a weapon in the offense. He's going to be out there almost all the snaps, Billy Kemp. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
Everything else in the pass-catching room and the wide receiver room is still a big question mark to me. If Marcus Washington didn't have injury concerns, I would take him off that list, but the injury concerns are still there. And then you also look at the offensive line with Prohaska. I mean, how do we feel about your starting left tackle and right tackle being Turner Corcoran and Bryce Benhart? Like, I don't think any Husker fan out there, I know we've heard all offseason long, the offensive line looks better. I've heard reports out of fall camp. They look improved. Do you feel good about those two guys being your tackles? I don't think any Husker fan is going to sit here with a straight face and say, I feel great about those two.
But even if Prohaska's out there, he's got, 4 starts in his career?
4 starts in his career and missed almost all of fall camp.
I mean, yeah. Can you really feel that confident with him either?
The way that I've heard Rule talk about it, it doesn't sound like even if Prohaska's healthy, he's not starting.
That's about how I feel.
You haven't seen. He hasn't gotten any. He hasn't gotten enough reps in fall here to even be note getting on the field.
And then on top of that, Matt Rule said last night on his interview on Sports Nightly, there's a good chance Gunnar Gatula and Sam Sledge, true freshmen, are going to be on your 2-deep.
Yeah.
So if you, God forbid, get an injury on the offensive line against Minnesota, or somebody cramps up because it's early in the year and it's hot weather, who is coming in?
He said Gatula specifically
I think he's
team.
that 7 and 8. Those are those 7 and 8 guys that he talked about wanting to get to.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he feels confident enough to name freshmen talking about our 2-deep. I don't like the fact that they have to be there because we don't have anybody else.
Yeah, and to be fair, Gunnar Gatula, love the kid. I've known him since he was probably 8 years old. I played at Southeast. His dad was my head coach at Southeast. He was always hanging around practice. Did I ever think the kid was going to be D1? No, he was a short, chubby kid that hung around practice. But damn it, did I follow his career intently whenever he made it to Southeast, because the dude hit a growth spurt about 8th grade, freshman year of high school, hit the height he hit now, and I went, this guy's got he's been around football his entire life. He loves football. I mean, Gerald Foster, whenever he was 8 years old, was like showing him the ropes of how to be an offensive lineman. And
Wow.
Gerald Foster's, as we all know, went on to Nebraska, brief NFL career, made a pro career out of it. The kid has been prepared from the time he was a young age to be a high-level football player, and then it just had to be the physicality, the measurables that caught up. It did. That being said, Gunnar Gatula is still a true freshman.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
There's still a lot of seasoning. Like the term we've used on the radio before is you can't microwave a brisket.
No.
That's offensive line play in the Big Ten. You can't microwave Gunnar Gatula and expect him to be ready to go for Big Ten play right away. And what I know about the Big Ten is it's rough and tumble. And could that happen in week 1? Sure, maybe. So to boil it down simply, because I know I've been talking for a while here, there's a lot of question marks on that offensive side of the ball. What's nice, I don't think Minnesota's going to be a team that's going to boat race you. Like, they're not going to go put up a whole bunch of points on you. You're going to have a chance.
Exactly.
Thank you. I've been waiting for that all show. They're not going to boat race you. But the question is can your offense find enough in that game? I mean, 21 points might do it.
Well, that's the
Can you go find 21 points, though? I don't know right now. The momentum out of fall camp.
is only like 46, 45.
And
yeah.
I'm taking the under.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was going to bring that up.
I'm taking the under. This is going to be like a 2.5-hour football game with a lot of running the football, a good amount of punts, and first to 21 might win this game.
Yeah, first to 20 might in a general sense. Yeah.
I feel good about Nebraska's the defensive ability to hold Minnesota to 21 or less. I feel good about that.
Yeah.
As of right now, a week out, I'm not sure I feel good about Nebraska's chances to go put up 21 points. Can they do it if they establish a rushing attack? Sure. Do I worry about them being forced to try to do things through the air that they're not ready to do because they haven't had the time, they don't have the weapons? A little bit. But it's going to be a close football game.
Give the ball to Billy Kemp, you think we'll be fine?
Well, can your offensive line protect Jeff Sims long enough to get Billy Kemp the football? I mean, if there's no other wide receivers, do you feel good about Billy Kemp getting open against double or triple coverage every single time? These are the concerns I have. There's a lot of question marks on that offensive side of the ball, but if there's any positive takeaway, if there's a reason Nebraska can get it done, it's because it's not like they're going to have to go put up 35 in week 1.
It was kind of one of the things that I brought up in our offensive breakdown show. I asked you guys, is there a guy that you trust as a playmaker on offense?
Yeah, that was a big question. But like we talked about at the end of that show, and like I'm going to go at right here, is nobody's brought up the tight ends. Nobody's talking about the tight ends, which is a deep group for us. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily a proven group, but it's a deep group of talent.
You got two guys that are going to be able. Gilbert sounds like he's not going to get the waiver. So is it really that deep when you just have Borkature and Fedoni?
I mean, I believe so. I believe that having 2 tight ends that you trust in the Big Ten is one more than most other Big Ten teams have.
Yeah.
Having 2 guys that you feel confident putting on the field at the same time.
And I guess when I hear deep, I think like
in the past
3 to 4 guys. Yeah. So I guess you're right.
Another big positive from it, too, is the fact that they're stylistically different tight ends.
They are.
You can go with Fedoni. If you get enough from Borkacher run blocking, you can just let him be a pass-catching threat all game long, which means not only is it 2 guys that you feel good about, it's 2 guys you feel good about being on the field at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And that's so different
You're
than the
not
rest of the Big
projecting
Ten.
your plays at that point then.
Yeah.
The other one that I'm going to throw out there, especially just from we heard about him all year last year, and we never actually got to see any of it, but we've heard some of it this fall, is Ramir Johnson being that third down guy, being that threat to catch the ball out of the backfield. That wrinkle and how, get ready for it, and how Rule, he even talked about it today. He got on Colin Cowherd, and he talked about how, my first year in the NFL, I got to spend a whole week watching Bill Belichick coach.
Plus speed.
No,
wait.
wrong button.
And I stole everything from him. And if there's one thing that he got to do and got to learn from that was how to utilize a third down running back that's catching the ball out of the backfield. If he's going to be able to do that with him, and he got to work with McCaffrey. Mm-hmm. If you're going to be able to utilize Ramir Johnson the way that they kept talking like he might get utilized last year, I think that's a true extra receiving weapon that we have that we're not factoring in when we're looking at how disheveled the wide receiver room all of a sudden seems to be the last 3 weeks. Yes, losing Xavier Betts, you picked him as your MVP of the wide receiver room for the season, and then I think it was 48 hours later he was gone. Yeah. So bad omen. Don't let Jed pick anybody good next year.
Jed, just shut your mouth.
Can I change my pick?
That's the second year in a row that your pick in that show has left the team before being jettisoned on his own.
Yeah. I picked IGC last year.
But that guy's back.
Hey, you looked great for 1 week.
1 week, yeah, I did.
1 week, you looked like the smartest man in Nebraska.
That first catch on the right side, oh man, 40-yarder. And then we kicked an onside kick, and it was all gone. But no, I think you made a lot of really good points. I think something for me about Minnesota that's different than the Minnesota we faced over the last couple of years is Minnesota has had age. They've had age, and they've had guys that the guys that were starting and playing were 3 or 4 years in the program. Because he's a builder. He's not going to be able to attract that transfer talent, stuff like that. That's different this year because they lost 3 guys off their offensive line. They lost, what did you say, two or three on their D line. That by itself, they didn't bring in major transfers that are going to fill those
And the
holes.
thing is I was talking about question marks for Nebraska. If you flip it around and talk question marks for Minnesota, those guys have been in the program for 3 or 4 years, but they haven't seen the field. They've been stuck behind COVID 5th and 6th year seniors.
Yep. Yeah.
That do we know what these guys are going
How many
to
of
be?
those
Not
do they
really.
have, by the way? Jesus Christ.
More than anyone in the country.
Yeah.
That's it's going to keep on being brought up. Minnesota's got a ton of question marks, and could Minnesota be a team that goes and makes a run at a Big Ten West crown? I think they could, based on the guys that they have that have been in the program for a long time.
But their schedule's tough.
Their schedule's tough, and also these guys haven't seen the field. We don't know what to expect from them. Could they be a team that competes for that Big Ten West crown? Yes. Could they be a team that's down in the basement with Purdue and Northwestern? Also, yes, just because we don't know what to expect from these guys.
It's honestly kind of a fascinating case study because I don't know what 4 years on the bench does to a player.
Exactly.
True. And the guys that they were behind, it's not like they were not good, but they weren't world beaters. They weren't first line guys.
The only
on a lot
guys
of
that
other
they've been
teams.
playing are those guys.
True. And so, for me, the point that I was getting to is I think that there's just as many unprovens about Minnesota this year and their turnover as there is, they had some turnover in their coaching too. As there is for Nebraska, I think I feel more comfortable picking this game in week 1 than I would in week 7 or 8. Just because you give them more time, you give him more time. He's a culture guy. All those things that he likes to talk about for a 15-minute montage on as he monologues at Big Ten Media Days. But, I don't think that the quarterback is anybody we need to worry about, just like you said. He got lucky in the end of our game. He got lucky in a couple of games after that last year because nobody knew what to plan for that offense. Nobody had seen anything like that from that offense. My pick, Minnesota wins, doesn't cover.
Wow, you're picking.
I'm picking Minnesota to win.
Whoa.
It hurts, but I'm picking Minnesota to win.
And one of the things here,
It's going to be like a last second turnover, for a
Yes.
touchdown. It's gonna be something weird that makes every Nebraska fan instantly have a giant pit in their stomach, and all the
Here we go again.
The big the big balloon that has been building all year and being inflated, just gets popped.
And that's something that I think could be an X factor in this game. In a 2-minute drill, 17-17, fourth quarter, Minnesota has the football. Do you trust the defense that's been working this 3-3-5 since January, or realistically more like March, since spring football? You got to get on the field. Or do you trust the offense that, you know what, there's guys that haven't played a lot of football, but they've been in the same scheme for 4 years, and they've been able to rep it on the practice field from scout team now to starting, and now you're on the football field. You've had a whole bunch of guys you've gotten to watch in the film room. That could be an X factor in this game that I look at, just in terms of, Minnesota's got question marks almost all over the field except the head man and the schemes that they're going to be running. These guys are very familiar with that, and I think in a close ball game at the end, that might be the difference.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Rule-Aid here all the way.
Love it.
I'll tell you why. This team, specifically the older guys on this team, have been fucking batted around this last few years.
Absolutely.
And I think, honestly, just from the little bit of the look in that we see through a look in and the different stuff, this team looks completely different to me from a mental standpoint. And I think that there's a lot of good, positive energy on this team of just getting out there, playing the game that all these kids fucking love to play, and actually just going and doing your best and not being worried about letting somebody down because they're about to get fired for who knows what.
Fedoni talked about it just earlier this week.
I think there's going to be a lot of
rules been on him about, hey, man, you got to let that be water.
Mm-hmm.
You got to let that stuff roll off your back and on to the next thing. Can't stick with it.
We might take a lot of L's this year, but we might also see our actual full potential because of the fact that the players are just allowed to go play football. And so I'm going Husker win big, not necessarily big, but a touchdown. I think
hope so.
I think we cover in reverse because our players are just actually allowed to go out and do what they do.
So he's calling a big win.
I'm going big win.
Big win. Jed's a win. You're not telling us, but I put you down as not a win.
Can I say this right here? I'll say this here. I'll say this next week on the air as well. My prediction, and I'll just say this: if Nebraska wins the turnover battle next Thursday night, they win the game.
Yeah, I like that.
That's what I'll say. That's what it comes down to for me. Not like be all end all, but if Nebraska can win the turnover battle, I think they'll get enough opportunities. They'll go win that football game. That's something I'll say to watch out for.
I think it's a great test for our offensive line more than anything else on the team is. Their defensive front gets to go up against their offensive line, which is an offensive line we've tried to model after since we basically came into the Big Ten. We want big behemoths that move guys and can just wear you down. If we can wear on their defense and our run, we actually establish a run game and we see a couple breaks, I might be way feeling dumb that I picked against Nebraska, but I'll be so happy if I do. We were actually watching Mike Leach, clips from press conferences proudly.
I saw a quote from him today. He was making fun of the Aggies for being in uniforms.
He didn't make that quote today.
No, I saw the quote from him today. He was making fun of the Aggies for wearing uniforms like they're in the military.
Yeah,
and
that's so funny. Pirate University.
He wanted his players to be wearing eye patches and have swords and parrots and shit.
Well, did you know that Mike Leach, his last ever interview was actually with me and Schmitty?
What?
The last interview he ever did.
Fuck off.
Thursday afternoon, he hopped on with us, did an interview with us, and then he passed away Friday night.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
The last, I went and did the research. The last ever interview he ever did was with us.
Those are some random guys. Questions.
Schmitty met him after a.
So you killed him.
It was a Texas Tech.
Both very untasteful jokes.
Yep.
No, it was literally Schmitty met him back in 2004. It was a Texas Tech Nebraska game where Schmitty, for whatever post-grad job he was doing away post-game press conferences, and Mike Leach asked him after the press, hey, what's a good place to grab a burger? And Schmitty was like, oh, it's here, I'll take you over there after the game, we go get a burger. And they went and grabbed a burger, grabbed a beer after the game, and
no kidding.
they had a relationship ever since then.
That's fucking cool.
That's awesome.
That was up until the day Mike Leach died, which we're going to have to cut this from the podcast. That was the most famous person I had in my phone contact list. Now there's nobody.
We have to cut that?
We don't have to, but like
I was gonna say,
it seems a little. It's in poor taste though to be like, why'd that guy have to die? He was the most famous guy in my my contact list. Like I feel like there's more important things. Like
I think that's a number I'd keep. You call it in like 10 years and be like,
You know you have Mike Leach.
Not worthy.
you know this is Mike Leach's phone number?
Yeah.
no,
That's cool though.
He was incredible though.
That is
to
super
hop
cool.
on the show with us, and I mean we talked about everything from him watching chicks fight in high school.
Oh, I'm sure.
To Yellowstone to Better Call Saul to like he just
I believe it.
The best part
You
about
talk about anything.
the best part about a Mike Leach interview, there was no preparation involved.
No.
You just asked him
And
whatever
you were getting
you
the
wanted.
full 100% of
Yeah.
whatever Mike Leach had on his mind.
Yeah,
We watched his.
Have I experienced this?
Mike Leach, what do you think
You're
about
getting it.
spoons?
You got 45 minutes
Well,
on
the
spoons.
thing about spoons is
Not only spoons, but let me tell you about forks.
I went
Yeah.
through the Rolodex and I posted up like our highlights, our best ever interviews with him. It was like an hour-long segment I posted up in podcast where it's everything from rollerblading.
I'm gonna have to go check this out. This is awesome.
I can send it to you. It's like rollerblading to. Oh, now I have to think of just all the crazy Christmas gifts, ghost stories, like just insane shit that Mike
Ghost
Leach would
stories
get
by
into.
Mike Leach.
We may
That's
have
gotta be
to,
amazing.
We may have to just cut this and then make like a little outtake about like Mike Leach and-
Experiences.
Yeah, let's just,
Somehow we got on the topic of that before you got over here, and we were watching
I'm
upstairs.
missing
We were
so
watching
much.
Mike Leach interviews, like his marriage advice.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
And the best part
Mike
about
Leach
that
doing
was
the weather.
like halfway through it, she's like,
Thanks,
he's like,
Coach.
Oh yeah, thanks, coach.
See you later.
And
He
he's
keeps
like, no. So I got more.
It was direct
Yeah, that was
right
my
at the
that was
dude
my
she was
advice for
marrying
you.
to.
This is now for your husband.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you could be like, you think he's done, you're on to the next question. Mike Leach with us here, Hail Varsity Radio. Then he goes, but also, and it just keeps on going. You're like, I guess I'll save that question for a couple minutes.
Yep. A couple minutes, literally. Yeah. He's just going to keep going. Yes.
Some of those quick sidelight interviews were like 9 minutes long.
Yeah.
That's the best thing is like you see the stadium's empty behind him by the time the interview's over.
Yeah.
It's crazy. All right.
No, and there was at one point, this is so funny now that we're on this tangent, where he did a sit down with, The Athletic did a sit down with all his former quarterbacks. And there was this one where the quarterbacks were talking about just how insane the position meetings were, where they just, like, what we get into with them in interviews, he would just do in quarterback meetings. So, like, yeah, if you're in a quarterback meeting with Mike Leach, expect to be there for 2.5 hours, and you will break down film for half an hour, and then just talk for 2 hours. And at one point, halfway through the quarterback meeting, one of the quarterbacks was like, yeah, and then at one point during the meeting, his phone just rings, and he goes, sorry, guys, I got to take this. It's a radio show in Nebraska calling me. And it was fucking us. And he does the entire interview with us with all his quarterbacks just sitting in the room waiting for him to finish
Stop
up. Like a
it.
20-minute interview of just Mike
Oh
Leach
my
on the
God.
phone with me and Schmitty.
That's the biggest big dick power move ever. Please hold. No. You guys don't need to go anywhere. I have a radio interview.
I remember reading that story and seeing
pull my
Schmitty being
iPad
like,
down.
that's got to be us, right?
That's
like
crazy.
And like the timing lined up. Yeah, it was 100% Mike Leach just paused a quarterback meeting during like, I want to say it was during the season of being like, sorry guys, I got to take this. Love these guys. Radio show in Nebraska.
Jesus Christ. That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
That is a cool, like, 15 minutes of like claim to fame type thing right there. That's fucking awesome.
No,
Rest in peace, Mike Leach.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Cheers to that guy.
Absolutely.
So different without him.
College
you missed
college
one.
football is not the same without him.
No,
I'm not sure how that's going to come out in the podcast because we just came out in the
That's
middle
gonna
of our
be like
season
a.
preview.
That's gonna be like a.
Just
We
cut
got
it.
to talk about Mike Leach for a second.
YouTube exclusive or something.
Yeah.
there you go.
It's one of those things where people say like college football is better when X team is good.
Yeah.
College football is better with Mike Leach.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even with the scandal shit he went through at Texas
whatever.
Tech,
Which was all bullshit.
That
Yeah,
much of a
absolutely.
scandal.
it
Craig
was a
James, you
railroad
fucking
job. It was a
pussy.
railroad job by ESPN.
Yeah.
Done and done.
They couldn't even hold him down.
Speaking of another polarizing head coach figure, we are on to Colorado.
Yes.
Now, Deion fucking Sanders.
Prime.
It's prime time.
Insane.
Let's talk about it. You got anything for us, Jed?
I got. We're gonna kick their ass.
You got
Period.
You don't got any details on
No,
Louis or anything
no.
like that over
They're
there?
not a good football team. I don't care who prime. I don't care about Louis or any of that bullshit. They're not a good football team.
How many Lamborghinis are we going to ruin?
We're gonna run them all over.
Dude, they had to send those back.
Yeah,
They
that's
rented them
right.
for the day.
They were rentals.
That's right.
There might be one booster that can afford one.
Yeah, Malachi Coleman in that picture did not drive it back to Lincoln when
They
he was
didn't
out
give him
there,
the Gucci bags to keep.
Yeah, no. Not Gucci, Louis.
Sorry.
Shit, they might have had to rent that from Omaha in order for them to take it up there. I don't even know.
True.
Yeah, no. We're going to kick their ass. It's definitely a win. I don't give a shit.
Jed's already throwing down the win.
What is this?
You don't even have any. You don't even have any info on it. Nothing. You're not going to say anything.
They don't have enough players. They brought in like 40 new players since spring ball. So they haven't had any time to gel together at all other than these 15 practices in fall camp. No, they're going to be fucking trash.
Do you think that there's going to be marked improvement throughout the year from them? Do you think like the coaching staff that he put together? Nobody can deny it's a rock star
Absolutely.
coaching staff. Even if he's not a good coach, the staff itself, it's made up of dudes that have been there, done that.
Now, I'll say, just to jump in here, I don't think Coach Prime, I don't think he's a bad football coach.
No.
I don't either.
I don't think there's enough evidence either way to say he's a good football coach or a bad
Correct.
football coach. He did well at Jackson State. Hey, you also had more talent than any HBCU because you're Coach Prime.
Yeah,
and the thing
well
is,
at Jackson State.
And they also didn't play the best teams in the FCS.
Right.
Those teams do not play the North Dakota States.
With
they don't play, all of those
more
really good
talent
teams.
than they are ever used to.
Yeah.
and I don't think Coach Prime has to be a great football coach to find success at Colorado. One of the unique things about Dion is there's only a handful of coaches in college football like this where if you're a recruit, if you're in the transfer portal, whatever, if this person calls, you're going to pick
You're
it up.
taking his call.
Deion Sanders is one of those
Period.
people. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you think of Coach Prime. If you're a football player in America and you get a phone call and it's Deion Sanders on the line, you're going to pick it up.
Absolutely.
And the people on that list right now are probably Kirby Smart, Nick Saban. I don't even think you put Harbaugh on that list. You
Maybe Jimbo Fisher,
I'd say maybe Ryan Day.
Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley's another one on the list. There's not that many people
Yeah, he
on that
might
list
hand you a
along
Heisman.
with Dion. Dion's got the ability to go bring in talent. What can he do with it? That's the big question mark right now. And what can he do in one offseason with that talent? Because there's talent on that Colorado football team. I think if you say there's no talent, I don't think you're paying attention.
There is now.
Now there is talent on
The
that football
majority
team.
of that talent, though, lies at the skill position.
Yes.
He doesn't have, there's nothing in the trench.
No.
There's
Exactly.
nothing on either side of the line. If you go through and you look at even just the size of the majority of the guys that are out there, they're a small team.
Mm-hmm.
They're a small team. But I agree with you 100%. I don't think he has to be a good coach because he brought in such good coaches
Yes.
around him. Even if he's not a good coach now, he's going to be made into a good coach and look really good because of those guys. I think
That's also a sign of a good head coach is bringing in.
absolutely, and I think it's really important that we're playing them in week 2 and not week 10. I think
I go back and forth on that, though, because I also think that because of how shorthanded they are, and they also, yes, they have good skill position guys, but outside of the skill position guys and those top-level guys at the skill positions, the rest of the guys are scrubs. Cool, they brought in a shit ton of transfers, but these are guys that couldn't even start on their own teams either. I also I agree with you in a certain extent, but I also say by week 10 they might be so beat up that they might not be any good anyway.
you might be right.
Because they're so shorthanded. That's what I'm saying. I agree, but it's 6 of one, half dozen of the
they've
other.
got his son at 8th best odds to win the Heisman.
I think that's insane.
I do too.
I think that's
because of
Vegas
what's
covering
around
their
him.
ass. So that's my.
I do too. I think that's because of what's around him. But
That's some lip service there is what that is.
Well, if you want him to go be the Heisman or a Heisman Trophy candidate, I was going to say the winner, but just a candidate, Colorado needs to go compete for the Pac-12.
Yeah.
That's what the Heisman, you can't be a great player in a bad team and be in contention for the Heisman.
Ask Troy Davis.
And that's why I think it's insane. I think
They're
Shedeur
not
Sanders
going to this year.
I think he could be a fine quarterback. I think he's going to have weapons to throw the ball to. And the extent of my game preview for Colorado is if Nebraska can't get pressure with 4 defensively, it might be a long game.
I agree with that.
But I also think whenever I look at Colorado's offensive line, I think Nebraska should be able to get pressure with 4.
I was going to say, it also might be a long season for Nebraska if you can't get pressure
Yes.
against Colorado.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
The rest of the season might get a little tough for Nebraska as well.
That's most of my game preview is can Nebraska get Colorado's offense out of rhythm without having to blitz?
Mm-hmm.
If they have to blitz and you're leaving your back end a little exposed, I think the skill position players from Colorado, and I think Shedeur Sanders is good enough that they can get some yards against you and they can potentially put a scare into you, if not beat you, if you're not getting pressure with 4. That being said, I think Nebraska's defensive line should be able to get pressure with 4 against Colorado with what they have on the offensive line. but that's pretty much the extent of my game preview because I think Nebraska should have the talent advantage. I think they should be further ahead with the amount of continuity that comes back, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Further ahead.
Like continuity-wise, like we said that with the Minnesota game. Minnesota's ahead of Nebraska in terms of continuity. Nebraska's ahead of Colorado in terms of continuity. So it's as simple to me. If you can get pressure with 4, you should be able to slow down their offense enough to the point that you should be able to go win that football game. I get worried if you have to blitz. Because now you're leaving your corners and your safeties on islands with Colorado skill position guys, and those dudes are legit.
Yeah, mostly 4- and 5-star guys.
And I understand. I agree with you, and I understand what you're saying as far as Nebraska's way ahead of with continuity compared to Colorado. It's also still weird to say that since they're both first-year head coaches.
They're both first-time head coaches, but one team just filled up 2/3 of their whole team.
No, like I said, I agree, and all those, and I see it. But at the same time, it's very weird to say considering both of them are first-year head coaches.
Yep.
And also, if you think about Rule, he's bringing continuity to players who didn't have it before.
Well, he made an interesting made an interesting statement that I was watching the interview right when Jed showed up today. The Colin Cowherd interview today. Mm-hmm. He made a comment on there. Cowherd asked him, he's basically asked him how is the first season going to look? Do you have any projections? Obviously, he gave him a bunch of coach speak, but the biggest thing that he said was, this might be my first season, but for a lot of these players, there's a lot of juniors and seniors on this team that this is their 4th year, this is their 5th year, so. Something he said, something I said to my team this week was, this might be my first year, but it's not yours. Mm-hmm. So are we going to make this about year 1 or are we going to make this about year 4 or 5?
Yeah.
And that hit me hard. I was like, God damn, that's like, you've been someplace for 4 years. You've known nothing but failure and beating your head against the wall, regardless of what anybody wants to say about the prior coaching staff, regardless of anything that happened with Mickey Joseph at the end of last year, all that stuff, all of those things are in the past, and all he's done is completely reset the table. Basically, you spent 5 years of Frost essentially flipping over the table after every game, and Rule reset the table, bolted it to the fucking ground, and he built it from the floor up. And I feel like when you listen to guys like Nick Heinrich and Reimer and those leaders on the team that have actually been here for a long time, for a while, that experienced the tumult that was Scott Frost in that era, you look at where they are right now and the way they're talking to the media, the way they're talking about each other as players, the way they're talking about football in general. I mean, Luke Reimer talked about how at the end of that Rutgers game, he thought that was the end of his career. Yeah, he wasn't having a good enough time, kind of like what you talked about at TCU, wasn't having good enough time playing football that he wanted to really go through all that rehab and do all that stuff again. He gave a lot of credit to Reimer about that stuff and finding God and all those things. That's awesome, but I think a huge part of that is this year this coaching staff has made them feel like you hear in every huddle on those a look in right now. You hear at the end of every huddle. 1, 2, 3 family. This is about how we play together. You're also not getting any of that with Colorado. No. This is about go get your bag. This is you do for you. It's not about the team. This is about you. I'm here to get you to the NFL. I'm prime. I've mentioned 50
He's wearing
fucking
jackets
times
in the school colors without the school logo on.
Exactly. At the spring game. Yeah, sure. Well, it was packed out.
The logo was on there. It was just
I don't
covered,
care.
But
I don't care.
The main logo on it was not a Colorado Buffalo. It said
Coach Prime had a Coach Prime jacket on. I don't care what he had on underneath.
Just saying.
Yeah.
No. All that being said, my pick is Nebraska. I think that if we struggle mightily against Minnesota, it'll be a sign that we're probably going to struggle in every game all season long. I think Colorado will be as much of a laydown as the next 2 games after that will be.
Real quickly, just to kind of backtrack, you had brought up how Rule had said to Cowherd as far as this is my year 1, but it's like guys like Reimer's year 3. One of the things that and we've talked about Rule's interview on Sports Nightly last night a couple of times, and he brought up kind of the same factor as. So they brought in the author of that book that they were all reading that I think it was called Twin Thieves, something like that. I don't remember who the author's name
was.
The
fact that he gave them fucking reading homework,
yes.
by the way.
One of the things in that book apparently was, he talked about this on the Sports Nightly interview, was there was a farmer that, planted seeds, and he watered them, and nothing grew. And then 3 years later, all of a sudden this thing sprouted up. You could say you're watering the plant, you're planting seeds, all those other things in year one, as far as rule. But he said Reimer has been here and he's been planting seed for 3 years, for 4 years. So those guys deserve to see something grow. It's not about Rule being in year one. It's about those guys being in year 3, 4, and 5, sometimes even 6, whatever else, and seeing something grow. That's one of the things that I heard him say on SportsNet. I was like, absolutely. It's not about just year one. I think one of the other things he said last night was one of the things that he hates the most is a new coach coming in and you get to year 2 and they say, well, this is actually year 1 because we needed to regroup this and that, whatever.
Scott Frost said it.
Well, a lot of people say it in a lot of places,
Scott
but yes.
like year 4.
He was confused.
Yeah.
Drunk.
It's my first line today. Sorry.
But, he's like, no, year 2 is year 2. If you're looking at year 2 as year 1, then you wasted an entire year.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, can I quickly get back? Your whole analogy about planting seeds got me thinking.
It wasn't my analogy; it was the book.
Well, yeah, the book. But usually, whenever you think about college age men planting seeds, it's a complete negative. You're worried. You're worried. Like if your son goes off to college.
I told you to wrap it up, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice breath of fresh air to be able to sit back and say, man, those guys are planting seeds in a good way.
And keep those seeds in the bag and throw them in the trash can.
Is that an Urban Meyer reference? I don't know.
Whoa.
Well,
Whoa.
I almost said something personal about myself about that stuff, but whatever.
Matt, do you have any analysis, or are you just going to say Nebraska?
Nebraska.
Do you even know why you're saying Nebraska, or are you just saying Nebraska?
No, you know what? I know why. It's MJ Sherman.
No, that's you.
Well, yeah, no.
No, he would say Billy Kemp, not MJ Sherman.
Or maybe
Both of those things are accurate.
Or maybe
What?
You're looking for this?
Husker speed.
Oh. I was like, what are you talking about?
we haven't even got there yet.
As we've already kind of discussed, that Nebraska is starting with a very solid foundation. They just didn't know who they were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Rule is giving them that piece.
And what do they want to be? Matt Rule said it in the Look End series. We've heard it before. He wants their identity to be tough as shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Minnesota, you have a chance to prove it. Colorado is the first real game where you can go out and prove, hey, we're tough as shit. We're tougher than this Colorado side. We're tougher than the Pac-12. That's your chance to go prove it. I believe that this team is going to be both mentally and physically tougher than they were last year and in the past couple of years. Go out and prove it against Colorado. I think you can go flex your muscle and prove to Colorado that we're tougher than you. That's what I'm going to be looking for. And if you can prove that you're tougher than Colorado, you can chalk that one up as a W.
Beat him down.
Not only any of that, but just looking at how Rule coaches the game. I mean, he's got these guys before film sessions greeting each other, going and saying hi to the dudes around you.
He stole that straight up from church.
Being a
that
fucking
is some church shit.
Absolutely.
I'm not even kidding.
But it's got that family mentality of I'm here not only for me, but for my brothers around me. Colorado, I haven't gotten that feeling from everything that I've seen in the press. It's exactly as you said.
It's
I'm
community.
here for me.
Yeah.
It's community.
And so
he talked about that in the offseason. He talked about community, about how, COVID changed the world, and so many people, especially these young men, these 18 to 21, 22, 20, some of them 23-year-olds,
Or even more, because 6th or 7th year guys, yeah.
They didn't learn that when they were those 3 years ago was when COVID was hitting, and they were all stuck at home, e-learning, and they weren't doing those things and going through that bonding and learning how when you're becoming an adult you need to do those things and interact.
Yeah.
And a lot of us live on our phones and in our computers. Shit, I work right over there. I work from home. I half my team that I've worked with for 4 years, I feel like I don't fucking know them. Mm-hmm. Those things are totally different, and he said that was one of the biggest reasons that they did the whole stay in the dorms thing for 2 weeks, was to build that bond, the type of thing that I'm sure it happens all over the place, but I don't remember the last time I heard any type of bonding activity that got me excited since Scott Frost took the team out to have those Navy SEALs Teach them how to row the boat. Unfortunately,
And so to get all the way back from that, I don't see Colorado doing any of that shit. So not only are they starting,
especially in week 2,
behind because they fucking churned up 2/3 of their team, but then they're not building that team anymore either. And so I think we're gonna blow them out of the fucking water.
I hope so.
40-point win. That'd be nice.
Especially,
I'm not
Like to
saying
see us
40.
score 40 points.
I'm not saying 40, but I'd say 20.
especially in that shithole of a stadium.
Well, right now the line. So this is from my buddy Brian out in Arizona. I said I'd bring this up. The line right now is Nebraska a 10-point favorite according to Vegas against
Love it.
Colorado.
Okay.
I'll take Nebraska there.
Yeah.
All day long.
I
I've
also
been- I'd
my
only been hearing
lean
touchdowns,
without
so that's good.
without locking anything in. My lean would also be to take Nebraska minus
It's a
10.
firm lock on Nebraska, by the way.
Is your buddy out in Arizona, Brian? Is he a shout out guy? Should we tag at him? Hey, we heard you got the goods.
He's more of like the call me at 9 p.m. and be like, what are you hearing? My buddies and I are going down to the casino. Well, I lock into a sports bet. You're locked in with this. And I go,
some late game picks.
yeah.
Well, and the other thing you say, he calls you at 9 p.m. That's 9 p.m. here, so that's
7
7 o'clock
p.m.,
there. Yeah. So it's
He's
early
just
for
eating
him.
dinner. He's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Good shit. Northern Illinois. Do we need to talk about it?
Not really. I'll just get one more point on Brian. I will also, I don't say this to him, but I also go like, hey, man, if you want to know, what I think about the Husker football team, I do a daily radio show.
Yeah, exactly.
He goes, well, I'm not going to listen to that.
I don't think that's a shout out. I think that's more of a call out.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a hey. There's a bus driving by. Kick me under it.
I kind of think of the next 2 games we can just kind of chalk up
Northern
this one.
Illinois, Louisiana Tech. Is there anything? What did you say? Lombardi's coming back from Northern Illinois.
Yeah, Rocky Lombardi.
I do encourage anyone out there. Hail Varsity Yearbook. It's the last one they're ever putting out. I will say, my knowledge of Northern Illinois and Louisiana Tech is not great. You know who's on top of it? Brandon Vogel. He did a team preview for every single team Nebraska's going to play this year, and he did one on both Northern Illinois here and Louisiana Tech. It's my go-to because
Give them a whole page. Each of them a whole page.
2 pages.
2 pages.
Oh my God.
Offense and defense for Northern Illinois. I can show that to the viewers as well. And then another one for Louisiana Tech. This has been I follow the other teams in college football. I follow the Big Ten. I'm going to be straight up with you. I don't know much about these 2 teams. Brandon Vogel is my resource to go to.
Well,
So
they
if you're
both
out
went
there,
3-9 last year, so they're not good
It took him
teams.
as long to write those 4 pages that it did for them to write the entire rest of the magazine.
well, and he has
a lot
good,
more research
He has
for
good
sure.
insight. Both of them are weak defensively. Offensively, they have some weapons, but both of these teams really should be chalked up as W's.
Yeah.
Nebraska shouldn't struggle with them.
Louisiana Tech has DeColdis Crawford.
Yeah. Who else? And that's the thing. That's what I'm at.
literally says, "Yeah."
No, I'm just saying that
the
just
fuck
because
is
he
your
just
point?
'cause he went here. That's
It'll
all.
be the coldest summer day.
And that's the thing. It's like
Coldest return in
Northern
Nebraska.
Illinois, they have Rocky Lombardi. Louisiana Tech has DeColdis Crawford. That's about the extent of my knowledge a couple weeks out from those teams. I'll worry about them once we get to game week against them. But, at the end of the day, we're fucking Nebraska.
Yeah.
Like-
that hasn't meant.
I know it
things
hasn't.
recently.
Georgia
It
Southern.
should.
Georgia
But-
Southern.
It should. And that is the most
We are
embarrassing loss
Nebraska.
Nebraska's had in years to Georgia Southern, and it's the reason Scott Frost got fired. At the end of the day, this is Nebraska, and as a podcast talking about Husker sports, we shouldn't have to worry about the likes of
we
Northern
shouldn't.
Illinois and
But-
Louisiana Tech.
And again, I know it was Scott Frost, but Georgia Southern, and then the year before that, Buffalo was a tight game.
Buffalo.
Stop.
I'm just saying.
Stop. Completely new thing.
I know.
It goes. What
disagree.
he's saying though speaks to the Matt Rule talking at Big Ten Media Days. We want to be respected. We want to be feared like we used to be. And we have to earn that. For those wondering, that is Tony White. He just had to run through a couple filters. It's it is him. You can go look it up.
Somebody, whenever amphetamines are legalized in Nebraska, going to make a killing off of that brand name.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
It sounds like he's saying that through a megaphone or something.
That might be how we get Scott
That
Frost
might or
back.
might not have been the filter I used on him.
Whatever.
Or some drug dealer is going to be listening to that podcast. I know what I'm stamping in my Molly
Yep.
next week. It's Husker Speed.
Trademark it.
Yeah.
Don't trademark it. You're going to get arrested.
So I wish we had a drum roll teed up for this one because I know what's going to come out of Jed's mouth the moment I say Michigan.
Fuck them.
Before we get there, can I just quickly say, the Vegas line, Nebraska's a 19.5-point favorite against Northern Illinois. They're a 23-point favorite against Louisiana Tech.
Oh, damn.
Over, under.
I like both of them.
You like the over for both?
I'll wait on saying
like-
that
I
until
like
I
taking
see the
Nebraska.
first two games.
From what I know, from Brandon Vogel. I'm just going to plug that one more time.
Guys, it's the last magazine that they're ever coming out with.
Hey, it's still on newsstands out there if you want your
He's
previews.
pitching it out hard.
Magazine.
It's a good.
It is.
Gabe Irvin's on the cover.
It's thick.
What I'll just say is, from what I know
what she
from
said.
Brandon and from what I see from those Vegas lines, I do think Northern Illinois is going to be a slightly better team than Louisiana Tech. Northern Illinois, their defense was young last year, not great. They returned almost their entire. I think it's 10 out of 11 starters on defense. Their defense is going to be better. It's still if you're a Big Ten football team, you should be able to go put up yards on Northern Illinois. You should be able to go win that football game. Of those two games, I worry more about Northern Illinois with Rocky Lombardi at quarterback and a lot of returning defensive production, but I don't worry about either of those games really because I do truly believe that if Nebraska can commit to running the football and their offensive line is as good as we've been hearing out of fall camp, which is improved from last year, it should be enough to go beat those two teams.
Yep.
Husker speed.
I think everything you said is spot on. I feel like those two games are the games we're going to see us maybe potentially work out some stuff in the first half with Jeff Sims, maybe airing it out a little bit, trying to see if we can get some of that explosiveness out of our offense. Because I think we're going to have to. I mean, unless one of those two first games breaks open, we're not going to see. It's all going to be played pretty close to the vest. We're going to be trying to make sure that we're not. We're taking care of the football. We're doing all those things. We're not going to take big shots in those first couple of games. I don't think.
I don't know.
These next the 3 and 4, I feel like that's going to be where you're going to see us work out some kinks. Hey, it doesn't matter if we screw this one up and maybe turn one over here. Let's try it because we need to see what it looks like against live action.
The only reason that I disagree with that is because I think this coaching staff wants to see those big plays a little more. I think they're going to be comfortable with, hey, you know what? Go out there and just fucking kill them once and see what happens.
Yeah, but they're also super, like, hold on to the rock, take care of the football is number one.
Well, I tend to believe here that Nebraska will want to go blow out these teams because you're going to want to get those freshmen on the football field.
Oh, yeah.
I think you're going to want to put up a big first half performance to get the freshmen on the field. And there's a great story.
You also want to get the starters off the field to not potentially get hurt.
Yes.
Especially some of them.
Do you guys remember Dane Todd, Husker fullback?
Yep.
From back then. He was the highest rated fullback in NCAA football 07. And I know that because he's a weekly radio guest.
Such an obscurely awesome stat.
No,
Maybe the highest rated fullback in the Husker.
It may have been 06.
NCAA football
It may have been 06. But he does a weekly radio hit with the morning show on KFOR, the morning hookup. He comes on with him. And I was filling in one day, and he comes in, and he was talking about his senior year. They were playing, I believe it was Nicholls State was the team they were playing back then. And they show up to the game, and they hop on the field, and like they're super confused because the defense that Nicholls State is running is not what they were repping all week in practice. And they get back to the sideline after the first drive, and they go, we weren't ready for that. Like, what's happening? That's what we repped. And Bill Callahan says they must have surprised us. Like, we're gonna get that fixed. They're drawing on the whiteboards. They're getting them set to go. And they get to post game. They win the game. And Bill Callahan comes back in the locker room. He says, "All right, guys. Yeah, you guys were confused all week or all day today because we didn't run anything that Nicholls State did all week in practice. We got Oklahoma next week. What we ran all week was Oklahoma's defense. That's why you guys were confused. We weren't too worried about Nicholls State. We just had to go execute today, and we're worried about Oklahoma next week. So that's what you guys saw all week of practice. We got 2 weeks of prep for Oklahoma. It was a hilarious story from Dane Todd. And it's
I was about to say, like, it shouldn't matter. It's Nicholls State.
And that's where Nebraska should be getting to. I'm not saying they're there right now.
No, they're
but
not.
That's what the likes of Northern Illinois and Louisiana Tech should be, where you can say, hey, we're just going to show you film of what they're going to be running. You guys should be able to handle that. We have the talent differential. We have the physicality differential. We're going to just go run our base offense. We're going to go win, and we're going to get ready for next week. Like, this is about cleaning up the basics. And I don't think Nebraska's there yet. I think there's going to be some more effort with these two teams because you're not a top 25 team right now. You're not a team that can just go roll out the backups as starters that we can go win the football game. You're not there yet. But this year is Nebraska trying to get back to that point, and I'd like to see Nebraska, as you said, go wax them in the first half and get the backups on the field.
Well, and I like how Rule is already kind of planning on, not to keep bringing us back to a look-in episode here, but he was talking about how he's going to...
The last episode was great to talk about.
It was an erection in itself.
Absolutely.
But he talked about in their practice that he's not defining who's redshirting until halfway through the season. He expects those guys to be in those games early on.
Yeah.
not necessarily later on when you need them.
Well, they're not going to burn red shirts though in the first half of the season unless they have to.
That's my thing. Is he made it feel like I want to get these guys in. I want to see what they can do against these teams
for at least 4 games,
and then we're going to
4
redshirt
games,
them.
He's not going to burn those red shirts.
No,
it's not a case of we want to redshirt you. It's a case of we're getting to the end of the season and we have the opportunity to redshirt you because we didn't need you.
We are already here, and now you can stay with us for next year if you want.
We're going to go win football games for now, and if you burn a red shirt because we need you on the football field, that's not a problem. It's a thing. If we get to the end of the year and you're at 3 games, hey, now we're going to talk about the red shirt because
I just loved that it was coming up to the first game. He's like, we're not redshirting anybody. You're all getting on the field until we tell you.
Also, the whole point leading up to that part that you're referencing was him saying, "Be ready."
Yeah,
everybody has to be ready. No matter what.
Well, and I also
he kept talking about master your craft. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Be ready. It doesn't matter if you're the scout team guy, if you're second string, third string, whatever. Be ready.
Yep, that segment where he pulled all of the people leaving off the field.
Yep.
And he wanted
if
to
you're a
throw them all
senior,
in.
get off. Yeah.
All of those people are going to be players this season. Mm-hmm. And that's what I feel.
Or
is
eventually.
very important.
Yes.
I bet they're players this season.
The other thing about the redshirt stuff is a guy like Malachi Coleman, who already has the body of a pro player. Do you really think a red shirt's going to fucking matter?
He's going to be used on special teams from what I've been hearing. I don't think the red shirt's going to come into play for a guy like him.
I just don't see, I don't see why you'd even let it hold him back, because if he's everything he's even supposed to be, let's say he's 80% of everything he's supposed to be, he's still gone in 3 years. Just because a body like that and the potential that a body like that has, if you can't reach that potential in college, somebody will take a reach on him, a 4th, 5th, 6th round draft pick, just to get him in the NFL and try and coach him up.
Well, hell, they're talking about the Eric Gilbert stuff. Even if he doesn't play this year and get the waiver, he's gone. Yeah. He's already he hasn't even, he's played, 3 games at Georgia or something like that?
He had the freshman year at LSU, and that's about it.
Yeah, but I mean...
Where he caught 3 balls or something like that?
Yeah, it was more than that, but it was like a classic true freshman year.
He's played very minimal college football is the point, and he could miss an entire year this year and still get drafted next year because of his skill.
Yeah.
Or his potential skill, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
So it's even if he doesn't get the waiver, he's not coming back next year. That's kind of the same concept of a Malachi Coleman. It's the talent level, it's just
why are we worried about a 5th year when he's probably not going to be back for his 4th?
Yeah.
That's my whole thing.
Yeah.
So why not use him if we can use him? But if he's not ready, he shouldn't be on the field.
God, when was the last time a Nebraska player declared early?
Shit. It's only been the last year that we actually had a Nebraska player get drafted. So
I mean, I just think about that. When was the last time we had the discussion after a junior year of is this guy going to come back? Aside from... There was one a couple years ago that it wasn't.
I mean, technically speaking,
was it Cam Taylor-Britt?
JoJo Doman could have came back, but that's all. That's all
the
COVID year
stuff off. Yeah.
So it's a little iffy in the last couple of years as far as do you count that you could have come back only because you had the COVID extra year, or is it legitimately like the way it used to be where you declared early?
Yeah,
I don't know.
What about that? I don't remember a time.
Yeah,
I don't remember the last one. It has to.
The last one I think about being a real discussion was Amir coming back for the senior year of being a real man, this guy might leave after 3.
Yeah.
That's about the last one I remember being a true discussion. I know, and I believe there was discussion about Cam Taylor-Britt, but he ended up coming back, and I don't think it was that difficult a decision.
No. Oh, I don't think he would have gotten drafted. Mm-hmm. He went.
That's what I'm saying.
He went 6th round, 7th round?
No, he went 3rd round to the Bengals.
Cam was? Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which, pre-draft, he thought it was 5-6, but apparently the teams had a higher rating of him, and the Bengals really liked him. And
shit, I was just texting him the other day. I said on Madden 24, I was playing it, and I got to the 2nd season, and they've got him listed as a superstar playing for the Bengals, playing corner of the Bengals.
Oh yeah,
I was like, all right, all right. I went and traded for Trey Palmer right away. I was like, this guy's coming in hot. Running wide receiver 1 already. Catching balls from Trask?
I think the only guy I've talked to that enjoyed, had fun playing football at Nebraska was Cam Jurgens. I was talking to him. It was right before we went off to Eagles camp, so about a month ago. He still has a house in Lincoln. Tate Wildeman rents out his house in Lincoln. So whenever in the off season they live together, and then during the season Tate Wildeman sticks around in Lincoln and Cam goes off to Eagles camp. Cam Jurgens enjoyed the hell out of playing college football, which I think is kind of the uniqueness of why he's made it in the NFL and is so far doing well.
Cam
with the Eagles.
Jurgens is also a fucking nut. Like,
Yeah, that's the thing.
He's a goofball.
he's one of those guys. He will forever just love and breathe football.
He's like the Garrett Nelson on offense. Like,
but
just
more so. Like,
Yeah, but less of Scooby-Doo.
No, like the best way to put Cam Jurgens is just he is the most happy-go-lucky guy that like will murder you. Like it's insane. I can't remember which game it was after, but this was like right after I turned 21. No, it wouldn't have been. It would have been the 3-9 season, the best 3-9 season ever. There's a new bar in Lincoln. It's
amazing 2 seasons ago.
New bar in Lincoln called Junction. So it's a Saturday night following the game. This was against one of the warm-up schools that they actually won that year. And Cam Jurgens is in the bathroom just throwing up into the sink. I go, hey, man, are you okay? Like, just heard you throwing up over there. He goes, nah, it wasn't me. I went, I saw you. I heard you. That was you. And he goes, nah, it must have been that other guy. And I went, we're the only 2 people in this bathroom right now. And he goes, don't tell anybody. And I went, I'm not going to tell anybody. Don't worry.
Was it like a puffed chest, don't tell anybody, or was this like a threatening, don't tell anybody?
It was like a guy is
Even if it's
pretty
not
drunk and you
threatening,
can't tell if he's kidding or not. Like, you know, whenever somebody's like real drunk and like you can't tell if they're being aggressive or just kind of joking around.
Yeah.
It was one of those moments where I didn't know, and
the
it's the
hair on the
crazy.
back of my neck stood just a little bit.
That was
when he
him
said
playing football. Is he being aggressive? Is he being aggressive, or is he just joking
Hey,
around?
You get handpicked by fucking Kelsey to come be his replacement. Mm-hmm. Arguably the best center in the last at least decade in the NFL.
Who's still going to play this year?
Yeah, and probably the next couple. But the GM went to him and said, "Is that really your pick?" He literally let him make the pick.
Yep.
Like, hey, we need a center that you can groom. Mm-hmm. That's who we went and picked out.
And he's just like such a good Nebraska dude. Like, dude probably wouldn't even know my name. Like, I've met him, talked to him a couple times. Like,
But he's such a good Nebraska dude. I can't remember
he
does.
yes, that he like whenever you go talk to him,
he does.
You think so?
Yeah,
maybe.
absolutely.
Well, it's like one of those things where he's such a good Nebraska dude that even if he doesn't know my name, it's still like in the limited conversation I can have with him, it still's like, oh yeah, there's a friend.
I have a good close buddy who covered for me when I yacked in a bathroom that one time. That's him.
You're that guy. You're that guy. From
He might not
Brothers,
know
right?
your name,
He
but
knows your name.
Like, it'd be like, I got you.
He'd probably recognize my face. That's
Remember
fine.
that Dollar Jose night downtown at Brothers? That's me. All right, let's kick back in.
Yeah, back-ins were not done at midnight or 1 a.m. It's almost midnight.
Real quickly before we get
Oh my
into fuck
God.
Michigan. No. Seriously, real quickly, and then we're done. 2 things I want to point out in those first 4 games. One is that all 4 of us, sorry, there's usually 3, apologize. All 4 of us picked the first at least 3-game win streak since 2016 for Nebraska.
True.
Yeah.
And the second thing I need to point out, just for my own sanity, is you always, Mr. Negative, blah, 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 Mr. Pessimistic, blah, blah, blah.
You went 3-1.
I have 4-0 starting the season, so fuck you.
Me too.
It's true, man. It's true. Hey, but that's where I am with this, is I am trying to keep my hopes so minimal.
Now, it might drastically change as we go through this schedule,
And you
but
know
I'm
what?
just saying.
You know what? We're going to be there to witness it live in Minnesota. I'm hoping and praying that we're sitting fucking sideline and having a great time.
If Nebraska is 2-2 heading into Michigan, are you guys at like
Panic mode.
panic mode? Okay, that's my question to you guys.
I am in panic mode.
I don't know.
Because like if it's 1-3, I might even jump into the fire Matt Rule category. Like that'd be ridiculous. Kidding.
Yeah.
If it's 1-3, there's. If it's 1-3, it's not fire Matt Rule, but it is rein him the fuck in, Alberts, because all this media hoopla and all this extra access that you're allowing behind the scenes and all this pump up the shit.
I don't like any of
It's
this
a distraction
talk.
if that's the case.
Fuck off.
I said this already before on this show. I will give predictions for this season. I do not have any expectations.
That's fair.
So, like, the 2-2, possibly 1-3, whatever.
2-2, I'm fine with. 1-3
But
would
even that,
be
like,
No.
I'm not going to, if, let's say we're 2-2, I'm not going to jump to any conclusion on anything one way or, because again, I don't have any expectations on this season.
Yeah.
I can have predictions, but year 1, 0 expectations, because expectations follow consequences.
You've been hurt too much before, huh?
Absolutely.
Sounds like a
100%.
Nebraska fan.
100%.
The number one thing that we didn't get to do with Scott Frost was ride the high.
Yeah.
That very first game that we were supposed to have with Scott Frost is against Akron,
Yeah.
we didn't get
Canceled.
to play. I'm going to ride this fucking high.
I'm in.
Rule came in. Everybody's feeling good. We're seeing 2+ hours of insider football into what their camp's been this fall. I'm going to ride this until I'm proven otherwise.
Yep.
All right. On to Michigan?
Fuck Michigan. Let's go.
I think this is an easy one. Just like last two.
Unfortunately, it is.
There's not much to talk about. Michigan's going to be fucking good.
We're going to be really good.
It's going to be our first real line test on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
I think Minnesota's going to give us a decent one. If we want to play big boy football and be respected the way Rule talks about, this has to be at least a minimum 14 and under spread.
Well, do you know what the spread is right now?
I have no idea.
More
I would
than
assume
14.
It's probably 18 and a half.
You know what the spread is
I
right now.
do.
I'd say at least 20, but
The current spread is 14.5.
oh wow.
14 and a half, okay.
But you should also know that Nebraska always has a little bit of bias in these preseason things because Nebraska fans like to bet on Nebraska.
Yeah.
True.
So there's always that slight bit of bias because Vegas knows they'll still make money off Husker fans. So I think in a real
It's
world,
also at home.
in a real world, this line is probably, depending on how the first couple games go, I'd say 17.5 to 18.5. That's probably what I'm saying.
Seems reasonable to me.
If Nebraska loses this game by 10 or less, it's a win.
Absolutely.
It's an absolute win for Nebraska.
I think thing if we cover
at home against Michigan, and Harbaugh is going to be, it's his second game back. Michigan's got the talent advantage. They've had the experience over the past couple of years. They're going to be a physical football team. If you can match the physicality of Michigan, which is a difficult thing to do, even if they outclass you talent-wise, if you can match their physicality, you can at least get this to a 10 or less point loss, in my opinion, which is an absolute win for Nebraska.
Yeah. I don't think we matched their talent 2 years ago when we damn near beat them. Mm-hmm. We fucked it up at the end of the game, putting it in Adrian Martinez's hands, trying to get a first down.
But here's a discussion point, though. I do believe that team of 2 years ago is more talented than the team Nebraska has currently right now. I'm not saying that's going to mean they're a better football team. I think from a pure talent point of view, especially what Nebraska had defensively back then, I think that team is more talented. That's not me saying that they're better.
You'd have to go through it position by position. Mm-hmm. I think if you just simply look at for me, just on its face value, just right now, being hit with that, I think we're a very similar team.
Okay. Sure.
I think we were a deep defense then, especially on the back end. I think that our quarterback coming in, he's unknown for us, but also struggles with holding onto the ball or has done a lot of turning it over in his playing career so far.
Yep.
Very similar to Adrian Martinez. I think he's a little more athletic. I think he's definitely faster. I think I would give our team overall a coaching advantage, probably by about 10 to 20%. Just in-game coaching is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about everything else outside, but in-game coaching at least 10 to 20% just from what we've seen him in college.
Yes.
Which is 4 years removed. But talent-wise, I'm trying to think of people that blow my mind that we don't have right now, that we don't have replaced.
I think of two places in particular that are probably the most important places whenever you play Michigan. I think the offensive line with Cam Jurgens in the middle was better against Michigan, and I think the defensive line as a whole, when you look at Snacks in the middle, you had Casey Rogers, you still had Ben Still, you had a younger Ty Robinson. The defensive line was deeper and I think better, and that's probably the most important position group whenever you play Michigan.
Or at the very least, more experience than what we have right now.
Yes.
More experience for sure.
And that's where I think Michigan's going to have a serious advantage whenever they come to town at the end of September, is the fact that their offensive line, based on recruiting acumen, based on experience, based on what we just expect from them preseason, I think they have a huge advantage on the defensive line. And if Nebraska can lose by less than 10, it's because that defensive line is ahead of schedule in terms of what we expect from them this year, particularly those younger guys, the freshmen. If those freshmen like Linhart and Princewell and even A.J. Rollins, even though he's not a freshman, if those guys are good enough by the Michigan game to hold their own, it means very, very good things for the rest of the season. But that's where the biggest question mark for me against Michigan.
Can you just say Prince Will's full name for me?
Prince Will Umamalin.
What?
Prince Will Umamalin?
Sounds like your mom yelling. Just saying.
Your mom's a yelling.
Your mama yelling.
No, I agree with you as far as...
I fully agree with you. It's
I think this game is, like you said, as far as matching the intensity, this game is more of a visual game than a scoreboard game.
Absolutely.
If visually we can match their intensity and play with them, great. That could carry us a long way. It may not translate to the scoreboard or anything else like that.
Especially in year one. When we're talking
Let
about
it,
Michigan
let it
being
be about their superior players.
Yes.
Final
Let it be about
Four.
that.
Exactly.
Don't let it be about us fucking it up and shooting ourselves in the foot at the end of the game. Don't let it be about us mismanaging something. Let it be visually. I can see improvement. I can see that we didn't shoot ourselves in the foot. We're just outskilled a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But
I will be happy with that, but that's kind of like what we talked about before. This is all about if we see improvement. It's not about wins and losses this year. It's we need to see actual momentum forward.
Yeah, we're focused on a bowl game. They're focused on the Final Four. There's a big difference.
And there should be.
yeah.
And you just want that game. I think if you're Nebraska, you want to get out of it healthy. And you want to have lessons.
No major injuries. Yes.
Lessons on film that you can take, and when you get into the meat of your Big Ten schedule, that you can say, this is what the class of the Big Ten did to us. We can take this, we can learn from this, and we can get better the rest of the year whenever we're making a push, potentially, at a Big Ten West. Because no matter what happens against Minnesota, no matter what happens against Michigan, you are still in a place where you can make a run at a Big Ten West crown following that Michigan game, because you're really getting to the meat of the West.
I'd love to play Michigan twice.
I don't think so.
I mean, from a learning lessons type of a place.
No, I would love to. If we have the kind of season where we can lose to them by less than that amount, and then go on to play them again in the Big Ten championship, that's a win for me, big time.
Well, I mean,
I don't care
honestly,
if we lose both games.
If we
I'm saying
make the
that's
Big Ten
that's
championship
win
game,
for
it's
me,
a
both
win.
times.
It doesn't really matter
fucking
in
fun,
the
yeah.
other
I'll give
scenario.
it to
It's just
I didn't exactly understand what you meant there.
I see what you're saying.
Love
now.
to play them twice.
No, I knew
Yeah.
what he meant immediately, but I'm just saying I don't even care if we make it to the Big Ten championship game. No matter how we play against Michigan the first time, it's a win.
That's a win. Even if it's the way Purdue got there.
If you
last
make it to
Yeah.
the Big Ten championship game, give Matt Rule an extension right away.
Absolutely.
year. Extension on top of his 10
He
years.
gave me an extension, so I would assume.
Yeah.
Should we move on to what I believe to be the most important game of the year? Do you have more thoughts on Michigan?
The only other thing I was going to say about the Michigan game is it is the first 2 weeks of fall camp. When all the coaches have talked about this needs to be the hardest you've worked all year long. So everything after this seems easier than this. And that is going to be the Michigan game for every other game on the schedule.
Yep.
If this is a 10 if this is a single digit loss in Michigan, I don't think that there's any other game that I look at on our schedule and say that's a for sure loss. If it's a single-digit loss against Michigan, I don't see another team on this schedule that I go, nah, that's for sure. I'm out on that. I even think I do think Wisconsin's going to be. If there's a team in the country that has the potential to do the TCU from last year, it's Wisconsin.
I like that take. I like that
I
take.
really that was.
I'm still at a wait and see on Wisconsin.
I am too, but they were as cupboards full as probably TCU was. And they have a lot of talent to get done.
They are by far and away, in my opinion, the most talented team in the Big Ten West.
Oh, easy.
But they have a first-year head coach. What can he do with that? That's the big question mark.
That's why I'm a wait and see on that for sure. But
completely changing the identity of a long tried and true team.
Yep.
So we'll see, but we're not there yet. I'm just simply saying this is just like what the coaches called the first 2 weeks of fall camp. If we can get out of Michigan, like you said, healthy, if we can keep it under double digits, that's a huge win for that game. We're obviously all picking Michigan loss. Illinois is another giant one. You just said you think it's the most important game on the schedule. Why?
There's two factors here. But the most important, I think, is because it's going to show the shift in culture and mentality in actual practice. You have played Michigan 6 days before. It's a Friday night game on the road against Illinois. Illinois this year, I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year. They're still going to be a damn good football team. They have talent offensively. Their defensive line is like what we think of whenever we think of what Wisconsin and Iowa have had on their defensive lines in the past couple of years.
Yep.
That's what Illinois is going to have this year. It's going to be tough to run the ball against them. It's a short week following Michigan. They're coming off a game against Purdue. Nebraska's coming off a game against Michigan. Like, that's the ultimate game where, especially going to a bye week the week after, like, you're in a letdown spot. This is the game that shows the mentality and the culture shift that Matt Rule has tried to instill this offseason.
Yep.
If you can bounce back after the Michigan game, it shows that Matt Rule's culture has been instilled. Right now, Illinois is a 4.5-point favorite. Sounds about right to me right now. Because of these things I've laid out, Nebraska being on a short week. Like, you think back to the 90s, and the thing people say, the opponents of Nebraska would say, Nebraska would beat you twice.
Yep.
They'd beat you on Saturday, they'd beat you the hell up, that so much to a point that you wouldn't be able to go give it a full go the next week. a full 7 days later, you would be able to give it a full go because Nebraska beat you up that bad. Nebraska's going to get beat up against Michigan. That's what Michigan does. That's what they've made their bread and butter on the last 3 years. You're going to get beat up. Can you have that mentality and that culture shift to a point that you can put that behind you and still go give full effort on Friday night against an Illinois team that's going to be dangerous this year? I'm not saying that they're the most talented team in the Big Ten West, but under Bielema and with the culture that they've already instilled there, they're going to be dangerous. Can you go give that a good effort on a Friday night? And if you come out of that game with a win, like, I'll be sold on Matt Rule, personally.
Massively.
If you can go get a win in that game because of what I've just laid out there, that is in my opinion, in terms of a winnable football game, which I believe that to be before the season even starts, like that's where I'm saying right now. That could change over the first couple weeks of the season. But that's a winnable game to me right now. If you can take everything that's stacked against you, from Michigan to a short week to a Friday night, like everything about that, you're on the road. If you can go win that football game, I will be sold on Matt Rule because that shows the proof to what he's been preaching all summer long.
Yeah. I love everything you just said, and I had this loaded up for myself to say a lot of what you just said. I believe a lot in the culture that he's building, a lot of that let it run off your back, on to the next one. This is not a defeat if we learned something today. All those different, platitudes you want to throw out there. But what I would say is I truly have been talking about this. I've been picking this. Nebraska goes into Illinois and wins in a convincing fashion. Not in a close game, in a convincing put-away game where they treated Michigan like it was the Super Bowl. And if this is all predicated on us keeping it close against Michigan, at least respectable. I'm talking less than 14-point game. I think that rolls into super momentum, saying, hey, guys, we're only a couple scores away from beating the cream of the crop when it comes to Michigan. They brought all their guys back. They've got all that team, all that talent. Everything on paper says they should be so much better than us. Let's roll that into a snowball and go beat the shit out of Illinois with it. I think it's absolutely doable. They talk about Vegas. Typically, the home team gets an extra 3. It's a 4.5 spread, is what you said. Mm-hmm. Granted, that's preseason.
Yeah,
trying to bait in a little bit of Nebraska on low points. I get that. I think it's probably set about where it should be, 3.5 to 4.5. I see it being a Nebraska win, potentially 7 to 10 points.
Wow.
I'm definitely not doing that.
Yeah, me neither.
But I do also see it as a Nebraska win. I see it as a close game. I see it as a fucking defensive game. You're going to get fucked in the mouth a lot. You're not going to do a whole lot.
In the backyard?
Hopefully you don't get fucked in your backyard.
It's going to be low scoring. But I think that's going to tell me a lot about Rule and his teams is how do you respond to losing?
Yep.
Because we're going to lose to Michigan.
Yeah.
If we don't, I'm going to make a mess out of this room.
I'm bringing a raincoat.
We're going to lose to Michigan. How does your team respond?
Yeah.
And I think Illinois is honestly the best stress test there because we're pretty evenly
Or the
matched.
worst, depending on how you...
we're pretty evenly matched. Coaching-wise, for sure. And so that's...
I said I wanted Bielema when he was available.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I still think he's a great coach.
Yeah, he is.
And
especially in the Big Ten.
Short week, you're doing what you can. I want to see how we respond. Regardless if we lose by 3 or by 30, I want to see how the team comes back 6 days later and plays.
Again, I started this whole thing, the projections off, as saying I'm going to say a toss-up game a lot. And this is definitely a toss-up game. Again, like everybody's been saying, coming off of the Michigan game, getting beat up, getting pounded. Even if we make the game close, just getting pounded on constantly like Michigan is going to do to us. Don't make the joke, Matt. But I got this as a loss just because I still think that defensive line that Illinois has is going to, unless the offensive line for Nebraska makes massive improvements like we hope that they do, this defensive line is going to eat them up.
Do you think a close loss is still okay?
Against Michigan or Illinois?
Illinois.
No, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a close game.
Say we lose by 3. Is that okay?
Well, I will never say a loss is okay. Period. I just, like, even a Michigan loss by 3, I'm not going to say it's okay because we lost. Like, to me, it's a bottom line business. But I think it's going to be a good game. I got to have right now Illinois winning the game.
And I think an early projection here before we move on is that if Nebraska wants to win this game, Jeff Sims has to be what you brought him here to
Yes.
be. He needs to be dynamic in the running game.
Yes.
He needs to go beat down an Illinois secondary that lost 3 guys to the NFL last year. He needs to go take advantage of that secondary. I don't think if you're going mano-a-mano, both teams just going to be running the football. I don't think Nebraska has the advantage in that game.
No.
Where you have an advantage offensively is Jeff Sims, what he can do with his legs and what he can do with his arm. This has to be a game where Jeff Sims is your X factor if you want to come out with a win.
100%.
So, do you have a leaning? Are you willing to one way or the other?
If I had a lean right now, it would probably be towards Illinois because of the Michigan beat you twice factor and being on a short week. But this game is a game that I think, I will say this confidently, I think we will learn more about this Husker team in Matt Rule's rebuild than in any other game this year. It's going to be the Illinois game.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that.
Even in a loss, I think we can still learn a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
that's going to be every game this year, though.
It is, but
It truly is going to be every game this year.
specifically
unless it's-
coming off of that Michigan game, it's
Unless
going to
we-
mean something different.
And going into a bye week, too. You can't forget about that.
Yeah.
This is a team
Oh,
that
yeah.
they're going to be looking forward to that bye week.
Yep.
It's going to be a slog early in the season. You get to that Illinois game on a Friday night after Michigan just beat the hell out of you. Does this team say,
Leave it
hey,
all out on the field. You have 2 bye weeks in a row.
well, that's the question. Does this Husker team say, man, that bye week's next week, I can't wait? Or does this Husker team embrace the culture and say, we need to get into this bye week, we need to go beat the hell out of Illinois to earn that bye week?
We
And that's
heard-
why we're going to learn a lot about this team, because it's post-Michigan, pre-bye week.
I think it was last year or 2 years ago, we actually heard that. Now, granted, this is also a testament on the coaching staff that we had previously, where going into that game before a bye week, the coaches even said that some of the players were like looking forward to their trip that they were going to be taking in the bye week. Like, they were already basically checked out. They're going in mentally, they were already on vacation. And
Well, the coach was doing that with practice on a weekly basis.
true.
so
Again,
Why wouldn't you?
there's a big difference between coaching staffs, is that, like I said. But I'm just saying that is another mentality of, are you going into this Illinois game knowing that you have an off week as already checked out? If you're locked in, then this game is going to be highly competitive and it's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
If you're already checked out and getting ready to fly to Hawaii or wherever else, then who the fuck knows how this game's going to go.
From what I've seen up until we haven't played a game yet, this coaching staff is ready to do that. They're ready to keep your attention, keep your focus, and get you driven forward.
Driving forward. Right on to the bye week and Northwestern.
Well, I don't have a line for the bye week, unfortunately. I'd set it at bye week as a 3-point favorite.
I put us all down as win on that one already.
For the last handful of years, the bye week was favored.
Yeah, so the bye week was necessary just to get ourselves back.
Yeah.
Northwestern, I don't have anything on other
it's
than
Norton.
it
We
should
just-
have been a
we just say
beatdown
yes,
last year.
I don't-
It should be a beatdown this year,
Yeah.
especially with everything.
Your
that's
fun
going
fact is, according to Vegas, Nebraska is a bigger favorite against Northwestern than they are against both Louisiana Tech and Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
Combined?
on. Holy shit!
No. So
No, I added that. I'm sorry.
Nebraska's a 23-point favorite against Louisiana Tech, as we laid out, a 19.5-point favorite against Northern Illinois, and then they're a 24-point favorite as it currently stands against Northwestern.
Oh shit!
So,
wow.
Yeah, if you can't win against Northwestern, who is in turmoil, their entire coaching staff is likely to be gone at the end of the year. I assume most of their roster is going to be gone. Who knows if they even have a football program in 5 years. Their stadium plans that were built, I mean, it was a football facility and a stadium soon to be that was built by Pat Fitzgerald. He's gone. Yeah, if you can't beat a program in turmoil in the Big Ten, like Northwestern moving forward is going to be the doormat of the Big Ten. If you can't beat them in year one after you should have beat them last year, if you beat them down 2 years ago, like Northwestern, the only school they beat last year was Nebraska, I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't get a win this year.
You know what? I would be okay with in this game a random onside kick in the third quarter.
No, fuck off.
No.
I just want to pose a question to you guys here, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful at all, but it's going to come off as disrespectful. Can anyone at this table name a single player on the Northwestern football team?
He can.
No, I don't see
You
it.
can't.
Is Hunter Johnson still there? The backup quarterback that transferred
He's
from
like fucking
Clemson?
fine now.
What the fuck? I don't know.
So honestly, I could have said a name and you'd have been like, I don't know, sure.
The backup quarterback, bro? What are you talking about? I don't know
These are
Northwestern's
the
backup.
obscure things Jed stores in that giant head of his.
He was a 5-star recruit for Clemson. He transferred from Clemson
He
to
sure
Northwestern
was.
a handful of years ago. I don't know that he's still on the team anymore, but anyway.
Yeah,
Sure, you're not thinking
yeah.
of that kid that's out at Oregon State now.
No.
DJ Ugalala.
Yeah.
No.
I think he's cousins of your mom's yelling. He plays the ukulele.
Oh, I should have known one player on this roster because he's going to be their starting quarterback this year. I should have known that one, but that's it. Who was the name you said again?
Hunter Johnson. I think he graduated a couple years
Yeah,
ago.
I don't think he's on the team anymore.
A couple of years
It
ago.
was 2019.
Oh, they got Cam Porter, the running back. I think you guys would probably recognize that
I
name.
remember that name.
The other name you guys should know is Ryan Helinski.
Yes.
Remember the name?
Yes.
His brother was the Washington State quarterback a couple years ago.
Oh,
who
yeah.
Passed away, unfortunately, and he transferred to Northwestern. So he's likely to be their starter this year. But those are the only two players I can name to you.
Yeah. Like I said, Hunter Johnson, he was the backup. He transferred from Clemson. He was like a 5-star recruiting quarterback. And he couldn't start above, who was the guy before DJ? Deshaun Watson. So he transferred, and he went to Northwestern. And,
Jesus, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't believe
Watson's already been kicked out of the NFL for a whole year.
Yeah.
Twice.
Damn. They have Calvin Johnson II, no relation to the other Calvin Johnson.
The only
But he's still a second.
That's crazy.
That's fucking weird.
The only reason I asked if Hunter Johnson was still there is because the whole COVID year stuff fucks everything up. I mean, there's a wide receiver from Minnesota that is in his 7th year. So
Yeah.
Hunter Johnson could still be there. Who the fuck knows?
You remember the wide receiver Covey?
No.
No. What was the younger brother is on Northwestern's roster? I got to think. His older brother played for Utah. He housed the kick in the Rose
kick
Bowl.
returner. Yeah.
He's in the NFL now. His younger
Yep.
brother now plays for Northwestern.
Okay.
Huh. Well,
The more you know.
must be in the car washes. Who
Yeah.
knows?
The more you know. But yeah, that's the kind of the point here. Nebraska, if you can't beat Northwestern, that would be an absolute embarrassment. But hey, they couldn't beat them last year.
Questions if you lose.
Well, I don't think this Northwestern team is going to be all that much better than they were last year. And I believe this Nebraska football team right now is a lot better than it was whenever they played Northwestern last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's about the simple fact of the matter. I'm not going to say whether or not Nebraska is going to cover a 24-point line because that's steep, but Nebraska has the talent advantage. They have the coaching advantage, and they should win that football game.
It's going to be interesting to see by that point of the season what that line shifts to. Mm-hmm. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? It's going to. I mean, it's a lot of it's going to be determined by how Nebraska plays. I don't think it's going to matter how Northwestern plays.
Yeah.
Everybody expects them to be dog shit. They're going to be dog shit. You got a coaching staff that already knows they're out the door. I mean, the school president's already as much said so.
Oh, the school president might be out the door. So
Especially after the way he handled that shit.
yeah.
Yeah. It's bad. What do you guys think about Purdue and their new coaching staff?
I think they have a brand new coach and
I
brand
don't
new
know
quarterback
what to think
and
about Purdue.
like losing Aiden O'Connell, who was the second best quarterback in the league for the last 2 years.
They might beat Colorado.
Okay, really fast. Aiden O'Connell dropped in the draft. This is just a random aside here. Apparently, the Vegas brass thinks he's their starter of the future. Aiden O'Connell. They love what Aiden O'Connell's brought, and the rumblings out of Raiders camp has been that if Jimmy Garoppolo goes down, they think they won't have any drop-off if they start Aiden O'Connell. They want to let him season, but they think they have their quarterback of the future from the 5th round in Aiden O'Connell. And, as Husker fans, we can all sit back and say, I watched what Aiden O'Connell did in Nebraska last year. I believe it.
Yeah.
The dude doesn't look the part. From a physical standpoint, from his stupid mustache, which is funny because I have a stupid mustache. But stupid mustache, you see him wearing the shirt that said, look like Favre, play like Favre.
Oh, yeah.
His teammates got him the shirt. He doesn't look the part of an NFL quarterback.
When he sits down, he looks fat like me.
Yeah.
It's
Apparently,
hilarious.
the Raiders brass loves Aiden O'Connell, which just kind of leads me to the point about Purdue.
That's a McDaniels thing, man. McDaniels gets that. He did the exact same thing with Garoppolo in New England. He gets that little eye, and he's like, this guy is the jewel of my eye. But I think Garoppolo is McDaniels' guy, and I think he'll do well with the Raiders.
Jimmy G gets hurt every single year.
Oh, yeah.
Trust the process. Whenever Aiden O'Connell is going to be the starter and he's on waiver wires in fantasy, do yourself a favor. You at home, too. Pick up Aiden O'Connell. If you don't have a quarterback, you won't regret it. In my humble opinion, I think he's going to be a good starter for years in the NFL. Kind of like Kirk Cousins. He doesn't look the part, but
like an Alex
get him in the
Smith
game.
type.
Yeah.
One of those guys that never wins anything. Yeah, I hear you.
I think Aiden O'Connell will be a fine fantasy quarterback. But that brings me back to Purdue. And just with what Purdue had last year, they're losing talent wide receiver. I think Aiden O'Connell's probably the best player they've had as a whole since Drew Brees was their quarterback. They're losing a lot, and they got a new head coach in. There's talent. They bring in Hudson Card, who is Casey Thompson's backup.
Yep.
And then they also bring in a defensive mastermind in Ryan Walters. I'm willing to say that right now. That has to revamp their entire defense. I think there's potential. I think they're still a year or two away, though.
That's my point. Like, year one, I don't have any high hopes for them at all. Down the road, I think Ryan Walters can be a very good head coach.
They have good recruiting momentum already.
Yeah. I got this as a win for Nebraska just because I know Matt Rule, year one at Nebraska, but Purdue's a different animal.
It was a good time for Braum to step away.
Yes.
Yeah. So Nebraska, probably Nebraska. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
The Vegas line is Nebraska by 10.
I like it.
Probably Nebraska.
I tend to trust what Vegas has to say there.
Matt's getting sleepy over here. I'm definitely going Nebraska on that one. I think it's a big win. I think it's a little bit of a payback game, but I think it's a big win for us.
I think it's close, but also Nebraska.
Yeah.
And what do I say about October as a whole as we're about to move into November, get to Michigan State? With the 3 games, Illinois, Northwestern, and Purdue, I think 2-1 is a healthy record to have in October.
Yeah.
If you can get out of October 2-1, you're still in a place where you can get in November and still have meaningful games in terms of either making a bowl game or, dare I say, making a run at Wisconsin and Iowa at the top of the Big Ten West. 2-1 against Illinois, Northwestern, and Purdue, very, very healthy, and I think we set the expectations there now just in terms of, like, Nebraska teams of old, you expect to go 3-0 through there. It's not the Nebraska teams of old. 2-1 is a healthy record in October, and I think if Nebraska can reach that mark, you feel good about where you're at going into November.
Yep.
Absolutely. Michigan State is a true toss-up game in my mind.
Yeah. Absolutely, they are.
Not to steal your phrase, but
No,
that's one that to me, it's like, it doesn't scare me. I don't have this feeling like, oh, Michigan State might be really good this year. I think he caught lightning in the bottle the first year that he was there, and I think what we saw last year, somewhere in the middle of those two, is kind of the ceiling for Mel Tucker. I don't think he's more than an 8 or 9 win coach. I think he's Bo Pelini 2.0 with a little bit louder and a little deeper voice. I truly like that's who he reminds me of, is Bo Pelini. He's animated as hell. He'll say whatever the fuck he wants. He's gonna yell and rip out his players, and if you don't like it, get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm. I think, they went down to a 5-7 team last year, but I think the biggest thing is they had so many injuries and suspensions, specifically on defense last year. They had 27 different guys on defense that had to start. Mm-hmm.
Well, they lost half their defense for the Michigan game, didn't they?
Well, yeah, but I mean,
because of what happened in the Michigan game.
But even game one, they lost their best defensive lineman, their best linebacker, and their best defensive back in game one. Now, granted, they did come back later on, like end of October, beginning of November-ish, but still they had to come back from an injury, so they lost them for 2/3 of the season, basically. Their best guy at each level of the defense. So whether it was suspension or injury, they lost a shit ton of guys. There was zero consistency as the season continued. Yeah, they were 5-7, but I don't think that they were that bad. They just had a shitty luck, I guess, if you want to call it that. I have this as a loss for Nebraska. It is a toss-up game. This is one of those where, like you just said about lightning in a bottle, whether it's Michigan State or even us. This is one of those first week of November. How is the season gone for both teams so far to see which team is going to show up for that game? Right as it stands right now, I got Michigan State winning that game.
And more specifically, I'd say, how has November gone? Or sorry, how's October gone for both of those teams? Yep. You're getting into November. You're getting into crunch time. Is there still something to play for? And if Nebraska goes 2-1 in October, you have some momentum. There's still something to play for in Michigan State in the Eastern Division. I don't think there's going to be much to play for. And if you look at what Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State are probably doing at that time, that might be your X factor in that game. Does Nebraska still have something to play for in the Big Ten West? How open is that race still, and how was your October? Because I think that game could be as simple as who's got the momentum and who's got more to play for.
Yep. Well, and if you look at the road that they have to hoe to get to us, I mean, they kick off the week before Big Ten with Washington, and then they have Maryland, Iowa. They get a week off with Rutgers, but then it's Michigan and Minnesota at Minnesota before they get back home to play us. So they're not coming off of easy shit. And like we said before, I think playing Minnesota later in the year is going to be a tougher task.
Yep.
I personally am just taking Michigan State, or I'm taking Nebraska to win that game just solely because of who they're coming off playing, who we're coming off playing. We'll be on a little bit of a momentum high. They might be on a 2 or 3 game losing streak.
Possibly,
So-
yeah.
And how fired up is East Lansing going to be for that game? Does Michigan State have a real home field advantage? Or we were talking, Nebraska fans, me included, for work, going to East Lansing. I think there's going to be a decent amount of red in the stadium.
Especially if we're going to have a few wins under our belt by then.
Does Michigan State still care about the team at that point? Michigan State's a little brother in that state.
Yep.
If you're sitting at, what would you be at that point in this season? 4-4, 3-5. Does anyone in Michigan still care about Sparty? That's going to be a question to me, is how real is the home field advantage going to be for Sparty in that game? Because, as we kind of laid out, I think Nebraska is more likely to have more momentum built up for that game. And if Michigan State's fans aren't getting behind them, I struggle to see a way for them to get right in that game if they're, as expecting, losing games before that.
Yeah.
Just looking at their schedule, they have 8 games before us. I think maybe 4-4 at best.
4-4 is a good
So
record.
4-4 would be a
At
great
best.
record at that point.
Yeah, I think 3-5
Which
is probably
is
more likely.
rough.
Yeah.
3-5 is probably more likely. So you're talking about an apathetic fan base who's probably not going to show up. And you look at what Nebraska's coming in with, we're probably looking at least winning that game, being bowl eligible, if not already being bowl eligible by that point. So if we're bowl eligible by the time we're rolling into Michigan State, all bets are off. That stadium might be 3/4 of the way red. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I like Nebraska because of it all.
More realistically, I think Nebraska is probably going to be at 5 wins for that game. That'd be your chance to get bowl eligible. If you're
That's what I
talking
mean, using that game.
Yeah, if you're
Using that
talking up
game.
Colorado, Louisiana Tech, Northern Illinois' wins, plus Purdue and Northwestern, more realistically, 5 wins for Nebraska sounds about right on the conservative estimate.
Yeah.
4 to 5. You might have a bowl game on the line whenever you go play Michigan State, or a chance as you get into the real meat of November with Maryland, Wisconsin, and Iowa still forthcoming. If you're at 4 wins, that's a must-win if you want to be bowl eligible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was honestly thinking of this game as kind of a toss-up. I didn't really know which way I was going, kind of leaning towards Michigan State because we're at Michigan State. Well, now that we've talked about it, I'm going to take Nebraska. It's a close game still. I think it's going to be a
Talked
close,
him into it.
low-scoring game. But I think Nebraska can walk away with it.
Sometimes in college football, all that matters is who has more to play for.
Yeah.
I think Nebraska, from this point, which is still so far off, I think Nebraska should have more to play for in that game.
Especially after the last 5
He didn't
years.
say it, but I'm putting him down. Jed's the only abstention from that one. When we're looking at Maryland, this is a game that a lot of people are talking about on the schedule. I think that a lot of it has to do with how well the quarterback play is going to be in that game. I think Maryland's entire season is going to rest on how well he plays this year. Is he the potential Heisman candidate like his brother?
You got to touch that name with a 10-foot pole or no?
No, yeah, not even fucking close. Tagovailoa, I can say. I don't know how to say his first name.
Talia?
Oh, just
Talia.
Talia?
Yeah, Talia.
See, exactly.
It's Talia. Talia Tagovailoa.
I always hear Talia. Whatever.
Talia,
Yeah,
I thought.
yeah, that's why I didn't want to say his name because I didn't know.
4 letters, you still don't know.
Your mom's yelling.
Yeah.
The quarterback from Maryland.
That's why I said the quarterback play. Yeah. I think that's going to be a big one, but I still just Maryland's a basketball school to me. I just don't get it. I like the fact that we have them coming to Lincoln. That's going to probably be an early game, which is going to be really early for them, and it's going to be cold. I like it. I picked Nebraska in that one.
If you're a
just
Husker
simply
fan,
because of those
you'd
reasons.
hope it's cold.
Yeah.
That's a great way to derail the Maryland passing attack. Maryland, to me, how I see them right now, is a more refined version of Colorado. They have a good quarterback. They have good skill. They ain't got shit on their lines of scrimmage. It's as simple as that. They lost the guys that they had. They're going to be facing an uphill battle in the Big Ten with those lines of scrimmage. Now, that being said, Talia Tagovailoa is probably your most talented quarterback in the Big Ten. You don't want to sleep against him, but you'd much rather get him in November than you would in August or September.
Give us a
because
blizzard
especially in Nebraska, if we're talking 40 degrees with rain and some wind, that's a 10-point win for Nebraska potentially we're talking about here. That's going to be a huge factor. What does the weather look like in Lincoln in November?
Especially against a defense that you don't quite understand. That to me is my biggest component of this game is what can we do defensively to confuse him? And if he's confused and their line can't keep up, we could kick the shit out of them. Mm-hmm. So I'm taking Nebraska.
I agree with you as far as you talking about you'd rather play Maryland late in Nebraska with the weather and stuff like that. My issue is, and by the way, I'm taking Maryland to win this game.
Jerk.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a lot like the Colorado conversation where do you want to play them early or do you want to play them late? with Maryland, they have the new co-offensive coordinators with Kevin Sumlin and Josh Gaddis. Josh Gaddis knows the Big Ten very well because he was at Michigan. Kevin Sumlin is an offensive genius, basically. I know that sometimes that didn't translate as a head coach for Kevin Sumlin, whether it was at Texas A&M or at Arizona, but still, he's an offensive genius when it comes to that aspect of the game. As the season continues with an athletic quarterback like Talia is, or however you pronounce it.
Roll with what you want. Roll with what you want. We know who you mean.
I think having him later on in the season, learning that offense as the season goes, is only going to be more beneficial for Maryland. That's why I have Maryland beating us.
Yeah, but I think some of what you just said is actually a reason why I think it's going to. His injury risk is huge.
It's going to be a good game.
I think it's
again toss up. That's
his injury risk is huge. How much are they going to play in that type of a climate if we have shitty weather that week? Mm-hmm. It might be one of the random November weeks that it's 65 degrees.
Although it's not
sunny
like,
and that's danger time.
It's a great day for us to go to a football game.
It's not like Maryland has beautiful weather in November.
They don't have Nebraska weather in November.
If he's injured, if that one player is injured,
it's easy.
Absolutely.
The game becomes one-dimensional.
And with the Maryland offensive line, you wonder about his health throughout an entire season.
He's going to get hit a lot this year.
Mm-hmm. And his family history with concussions.
Well, their dad beats the shit out of both of them. So, I mean, Tua talked about that, how his dad beat him with a belt. So, I mean, whatever. I mean, he did. He talked about it publicly on ESPN. I mean, I'm not saying anything that was.
So anyway, Elijah, I think I'm going to put you down. I'm going to put you down on our side of the fence.
Do you guys have any guesses on what Vegas thinks about this one?
My assumption is it's probably like a 1.5 point spread, Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, ESPN's FPI has us winning at 51%, so it's got to be.
I'd say under 3, but I would guess Vegas still has Maryland there.
You guys forget about the Vegas home advantage. It's
That's
5.
true, I guess. Yeah,
it's 5 for Nebraska as of right now.
5 for Nebraska. Holy shit!
Wow.
And I will say my prediction varies greatly if it's 65 degrees and sunny or if it's 40 degrees and windy. My prediction varies incredibly.
My prediction is way more on whether or not they can keep Tagovailoa healthy.
No, they're both valid points. Wisconsin is one that like I said, I kind of have them in the back of my mind as that dark horse TCU type team from last year. I really think that he's a great coach. Fickle's a great coach.
He is.
It's proven. He knows the Big Ten well from his time at Ohio State. He should have gotten that Ohio State head coaching job probably if it wasn't Urban Meyer coming in.
I was going to say,
it was him. It kind of a no-brainer. I have Nebraska losing this one almost as surely as I have us losing against Michigan.
Wow. That's like very sure.
Yeah.
I know that you said that a handful of episodes ago where you were, and I was trying to say, like, I'm still got question marks on Wisconsin. Doesn't mean I think that they're going to suck or anything else like that. By the way, I do have Wisconsin winning this game. I'm just not completely sold on Wisconsin as of right now. I gotta see it first.
I'm not sold on Wisconsin in the long term. I am sold on Wisconsin in the short term, what they can be this year. I don't think Luke Fickell is dumb enough to not utilize the two-headed monster of Braylon Allen and Chaz Malusi.
Yes.
He's going to have great running backs. He's still got a Wisconsin offensive line. In 4 years, is he going to have a Wisconsin-type offensive line? That remains to be seen with how little he's touching the Wisconsin area of recruiting, that footprint. I worry about that for the Wisconsin football program. But what he has right now is a team that is Wisconsin power, and with what he's brought in the transfer portal with Mordecai, the quarterback, and with those receivers, I think he's got a chance to have an explosive offense at Wisconsin. When was the last time you heard that? It was an explosive offense at Wisconsin. Sounds crazy, but
Russell Wilson.
People talk about the offensive coordinator. His name is going to escape me, obviously. Of course it is, right here, 10 minutes away from the podcast.
Me too.
He was at North Carolina, though.
I know. Longo.
Phil Longo, yes. And Phil Longo, everyone says, he's an air raid. He's going to try to move Wisconsin to this air raid offense. People forget at North Carolina, whenever he had the two running backs, Javonte Williams.
Over 1,000 yards.
And Michael Carter, both of them.
Yep.
Over 1,000 yards. They ran the hell out of the ball at North Carolina that year because what did he have? A two-headed monster at running back with an offensive line that liked to run block.
Yep.
That North Carolina team was damn good that year. I think if you're looking for what Wisconsin's offense is going to look like this year, go look to that year for North Carolina. I believe it was the 2020 year. Let's do some quick math. The 2020 year. Go look at that North Carolina team. Go watch their offense. Look at how much difficulty the ACC had in stopping that team, and now translate that to Wisconsin. I think the opposition they face in the Big Ten is a little more difficult, but I think that offense has a chance to be explosive, and that's crazy for me to say.
That North Carolina team didn't have a defense. They played terrible.
They
defense.
still don't have a defense.
And they still
but I'm saying,
and they still won
if
10
they're
games?
That
Yeah.
explosive. That's why I'm saying Wisconsin has that potential ability to be. I mean, they could very easily be an upsetter in the Big Ten championship.
The big question to me is how much of that can they get installed in year one, and can Wisconsin find their stride early in the season? Because if they can, I think they're your favorite to win the Big Ten West. The question to me, and the huge question with them, is how ready are they in year one to make that adjustment to what a new offense is going to be? I think there's going to be a lot of the old offense still, but there are going to be bits and pieces that get sprinkled in to try to bring some explosiveness out. Mordecai was freaking awesome in his time before he transferred. I mean, was setting records all over the place. He's going to be a good quarterback for them. He's going to be able to push the ball down the field. That Wisconsin offense is a chance to be really good. Can their defense carry the water in terms of just holding opposition below 28 points? I think they should be able to do that. I think that Wisconsin team is going to be good. And I'm not willing to say I'm as sure it's a loss as the Michigan games. I think Nebraska is going to get a hell of a lot better as the year goes on, but it's an advantage Wisconsin.
The other thing.
Nope.
Go ahead.
Fuck them. Fuck Wisconsin.
Are you calling a Nebraska win?
A tight ass 1 or 2 point Nebraska win.
Nice. Oh my god!
You know what? I think we're gonna have the team mentality behind us. I think we're going to have
Randall?
At Camp Randall. I think by this point in the season, Nebraska's going to be behind Coach Rule, even more so than they are now, and they have the opportunity.
If they're as behind Coach Rule as you are, I mean, now I'm in on this.
I think they have the opportunity to, and because I don't want Wisconsin to take all 4 of our votes, I'm going to go ahead and say Nebraska for that game.
Matt's doing his best me impersonation. He's being the super positive boy over here. I will
definitely
say,
am for that game.
Looking at Wisconsin's schedule,
it's pretty
prior
easy.
to Nebraska, there should only be one loss, Ohio State.
Yeah.
And then they have 2 fucking cakewalk, Indiana and Northwestern, to get ready for Nebraska.
It's why Wisconsin and Iowa are the 2 favorites in the West, because both of their schedules are cake.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. Doesn't Wisconsin play Washington State in their non-con?
Yes.
That's a dangerous game early in the season.
Especially at Washington State.
It's at Washington State.
I think
It's a 6:30 p.m. start.
Wisconsin has the talent advantage there, but I think early in the season, early in a tenure, that is worrisome if you're Wisconsin. If they make it through that game, they should have one loss when they go play Nebraska. Realistically.
But I like a young coach like that with his first year with his team, having a lot of confidence going in against any opponent.
Mm-hmm.
They have to play Illinois at Illinois. That's the only other game on that. I mean, the Iowa game, they have a run. October 14th, they play Iowa, then it's Illinois and Ohio State. That's not going to be an easy sled for them.
No.
But I think they beat Iowa. I don't think Iowa is going to be as good as most people are thinking, especially with that 25.
I still don't think they have an
ranking.
offense.
I would say maybe they lose one of those 2 games, Iowa or Illinois. I don't know which one, but maybe they lose one of those 2 games.
It's going to be a good matchup with Bielema.
Yeah.
And that's going to look good. Ohio State, I don't give them a puncher's chance in that one. But, yeah, I don't have it. Matt has it, though. I love it.
Congrats.
And we're getting
points.
down 2 points. I like it. Do you have a spread on that one?
I do have a spread on that one. Do you want to know?
Is it 13 and a half?
Are we even within single digits?
We're within single digits. We're not within a score.
I was going to say, I think it should be in single digits, but
it's 8.5.
8.5.
8.5
Wow.
for Wisconsin.
That's closer than I expected.
That also makes a lot of sense.
I think that's a line that may elevate as the year goes on towards Wisconsin.
It feels like a 14-point game to me. I don't know why.
or maybe like 12.
Yeah.
I see that as a game that is close through 3 quarters and Wisconsin can pull away with it at the end.
Yeah.
Which is probably the most definitive thing I've said on this entire podcast in terms of what I think of a game.
Yeah.
I think Nebraska is able to hold that one close. I think you're going to have physically, you're going to be able to match up with them. I just think that Wisconsin offense is going to be a little too much. I think they pull away late.
How much are they returning on their offensive line, do we know?
I don't have that.
It's got to be quite a bit.
I think it was 4 of 5 starters, and the 5th starter is a transfer, but I'll pull it up for you.
I don't know that they really had that many returning offensive linemen, but I don't remember. I looked at a lot of teams earlier today, so a lot of them got mixed up in my brain.
Because the other thing about Wisconsin is, even though they had probably the most outspoken group of players talking about transferring, with anyone else being held over as coach other than Leonard staying, I think he did the best job of keeping the talent that he needed to keep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Wisconsin returned, I believe, 3 starters in the offensive line from last year. Their right tackle is going to be a redshirt sophomore who's a backup last year, and then their center is a junior transfer, Jake Renfro, who I believe came from Cincinnati, but I could be wrong on that.
Oh, so he already knows the system.
Yeah, he came from Cincinnati.
Wow.
That's true.
Okay. Wow. All right. Yeah, I don't know. None of that changes my
I don't know if
opinion.
he knows the system because Longo, the offensive coordinator, came from not Cincinnati.
Sure.
But he knows the
maybe
coach.
not the scheme, but the system he knows.
He knows at least the expectations from the head coach and all those. Yeah.
Iowa. Fucking Iowa. You looked at me a little sideways when I said I don't think they're going to be as good.
Who, Iowa?
He did, yeah.
I'm buying stock in Iowa, and I hate to say it.
Yeah. I've got Iowa winning the division, so.
To me, it's so hard for you between Wisconsin and Iowa. I think like that game, those two, that's probably going to be decide your division. Iowa, I am fully buying the stock that their offense is going to be much better this year.
Yeah.
I think their defense takes a small step back. That's okay because I think their offense, realistically, they brought in 3 transfer offensive linemen who are all NFL draft prospects. They're going to have a rushing attack. You have a quarterback that I think you trust with the ball, unlike previous quarterbacks at Iowa in Cade McNamara. I think he's a guy that you can trust with the ball in his hands to not go turn it over, which is the most important job of an Iowa quarterback. They lack a little talent at the wide receiver position. That's the one place offensively where there's the question mark. But I think that they have an offense that's good enough to go put up 25-plus a game. I'd probably even go as far as to say 28-plus a game once you factor in non-conference. And if their defense is as good as I think it's going to be, that's going to be a tough team to beat.
Even taking a step back, they were a top 5 defense last year.
That's what I'm saying.
Like
I still think
taking a step back, you're top 15?
I think their defense is still top 25, which means if your offense can be top 50, you're a damn good football team.
And as much as we all want to jokingly shit on Iowa's offense and everything else, Cade McNamara, and some people can say he lost his starting job in Michigan, but he also led Michigan to a Big Ten title 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he's a garbage quarterback.
But then he regressed the next year.
But did he regress, or did J.J. McCarthy just fit their offense better? Like
he seemed to have taken a step back if you look at his stats.
I'm just, I don't know. It's kind of maybe, and I know I've said this analogy already before, 6 of one, half dozen the other. Maybe he did regress. Maybe J.J. McCarthy fit the offense better. It kind of maybe depends on how you look at it. But
I think whenever you have Cade McNamara in a quarterback battle with J.J. McCarthy who fits the offense better, I think it almost makes sense that a guy's going to try to do too much and his stats are going to regress because of that, because he wants to go show everybody, this is my offense, I can go sling it around. And that's not who he is as a quarterback.
No.
I feel
he's
like
a game
that's
manager.
what might happen, though, with a job on the line in Baby Ferentz. We've talked about this. We talked about this on the defensive preview. You actually called for a Nebraska win in this game in the defensive preview. But I truly think it's going to be interesting to see what their offense looks like by the end of the season. Because, like you talked about, the point you made in the defensive preview was, at what point is he going to hit that panic button and try and completely change things up and completely flip the shit on its ass because it's not working. The point average isn't up where it needs to be. He doesn't want to have his dad forced to fucking fire him.
Yeah.
That's more of what I'm banking on. I'm banking on this being a fucking circus year for Iowa where they do not live up to the potential that they should have, which is an 8, 9, 10 win team like a normal Ferentz team, and they are actually kind of the darling who fell flat on her ass in the Big Ten West this year. They're the team that a lot of people are picking to come out of the West, and I think they might be a 5 or 6 win team this year. That's my true prediction for Iowa.
Wow.
I am taking Nebraska. I'm taking Nebraska big, running on momentum that we built by beating them last year when we had no business even being in that fucking game.
Matt?
So here's my thing about this game. We typically are ready to shit ourselves right down the leg towards the end of the season. And so I'm really kind of banking on Rule and his staff getting rid of that. We're going to be in Lincoln. We're going to be close. It's always a close game with Iowa. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we're going to be ready to lose the game as we have been in years past. So for me, this is a Husker win because we're at home and we're not going to lose it like we've tended to recently.
One thing I'll say here before we get out, this is a 2.5-point game according to Vegas in favor of Iowa.
Okay.
One thing I will say is you've seen it in some of these look ends. You've heard it from some Husker players. I think that the staff and the team of Nebraska cares more about beating Iowa than Iowa does about beating Nebraska.
I think so, too.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I think Iowa sees Nebraska as this annoyance that they don't wish their rivalry was tied to Nebraska. Like, man, we just want to beat those guys and do our own thing. I don't think the Ferences care at all about that rivalry. I think Nebraska...
Well, I think Brian does. Kirk doesn't, but I think Brian does.
That's fair. I don't think Kirk cares about any rivalry.
No.
I think he's the old school football coach that says, we're going to beat the guys that are out in front of us this week.
Yeah.
I think Matt Rule's the type of guy that is going to have like a countdown up in the locker room of when you go play Iowa. And I think that's important to have within a football team. He's the type of guy
it's
that
the
is...
Michigan game for Ohio State.
Yeah. That is going to remind everybody that's the game this year we don't lose.
Yeah.
We don't lose the Iowa game. I think that is a factor. I mean, Nebraska always gives Iowa their best shot over the past 5 years, even whenever everything was going wrong for the Husker football team.
It's been a close game.
Even whenever there was no bowl game on the line, it didn't matter. Nebraska continuously gave Iowa their best shot, and I think that could be an X factor in this game, just with the game being back at Memorial Stadium. You finally got Iowa last year. There's maybe some positive momentum late in the season for how this Husker team looks. I think Nebraska is going to care more about getting a win there, especially if you think about potential bowl implications or what could be on the line if you're at 5 or 6 wins to go get that win against Iowa, whereas Iowa's probably going to be in that game 7-4, 8-3. Does it matter all that much to them to go get a win, especially whenever the message from the head man is, well, let's go out and give them our best shot like we do every single week.
It might depend on how close they are to 300 points as a team.
That's true. If Brian wants to go out there and really game plan things up.
He's got to go sling the ball around. This might turn into a turnover fest real fast.
If they're at 250 for the year, that's a fun game.
They ain't scoring 50. No.
He's looking at Snow, the defensive coordinator, like, hey, man, let's get that defense rocking today.
So here's my thing. I thought based on what you said earlier, I was already doing tallies here. I thought based on what you were saying earlier, you were leaning Wisconsin way. Or not Wisconsin way, Iowa way, I'm sorry. God, it's getting late. Do you have a leaning there or no?
Ultimate
toss-up. At the end, it sounded like Nebraska.
That's an ultimate type toss-up game. I'm not going to give you a straight answer.
Well, I'll tell you. Based on what I expected from what you first said, I put you down as no, and so kind of what you were saying there that would have Nebraska and Iowa coming into that game already bowl eligible. Because
that would have been Nebraska's 7th win, I believe, in my own tally, right?
Nope, your own tally. We would have already had 7 coming in, and that would have been our 5th loss. Based on what I was.
Wait, which games did I have as wins? Take me back now.
So
I thought I was at 6.
I threw you down for Colorado.
Now, granted,
Northern
to be fair,
Illinois?
on your show, this is BJ math, not your math.
Yeah.
Hey, this is also total bullshit. It's like it doesn't matter. It's not like any of us are wagering on these.
I'm just protecting his show. That's all I'm saying.
Guys, this is not investment advice. This is not gambling advice. Please do not listen to us whatsoever.
See, I had
take everything as gospel.
Well, listen to us.
Colorado,
just don't.
Northern Illinois.
Wait. Let's see what I can do off the top of my own head and see if I can back up my own things that I'm saying. Okay. Colorado, Louisiana Tech, Northern Illinois, and then I had Northwestern, and then I had Purdue. And you're right. You're right. I did have that as being the 8th win. So yeah, put me down for Iowa then. Fine.
Fuck.
Because I'm not going to hop on this podcast and have it be 8. If I'm 8 this week and I'm 6 next week, someone out there is going to be like, what the hell is going on?
He's just having fun, guys. It's the whiskey. It's the whiskey.
Let somebody do their homework.
I have this is the fun part. So Mr. Matthew over here has us 11-1.
No, I don't.
Yes, no, he does not.
Yes, you do. Yes, he said he was in on Minnesota. He's in on Colorado, Northern Illinois, and Louisiana Tech.
Michigan was a for sure loss. I remember that one.
The only loss that he put up. The rest of them he threw up as being wins, including, if you remember, Wisconsin.
Well, we might win some of them. So
hey,
I'm going to be great.
Respect.
Hey, If we finish this season 11-1, and we're playing in most likely a New Year's Day bowl,
well,
I'm apparently drinking a lot of Roulade this year.
yeah,
guys.
that's
Jesus.
all these cups are yours. And they're full of that red Kool-Aid.
Mine. This one's empty.
If Nebraska's 11-1, you might as well tear down the Osborne statue and put up a real statue.
Or
Like, at
just
that point.
give him one right next to it, maybe.
Thanks for keeping me in check.
Hugging him. He hugs him at least once a week. It sounds like anyway. Yeah,
Might
and
lose a couple games, but I'll win some games.
Jed was the 50-50 guy. He said a lot of toss-ups. 6-6 is where Jed came in, and I came in at 9-3.
I literally have it in chunks. I got us winning the first 4, then losing 2, winning 2, and losing our last 4.
Yeah.
And if I want to give my season prediction as a whole, Nebraska's success this year, their record will come down to their record in close games. That's the story of the Big Ten West. Is you're going to be playing in close games in the fourth quarter,
Especially late in the year.
If you can win more than you lose, Nebraska's going to be bowl eligible, and they might be closer to that 8-win mark. If you lose more than you win in close games, you're going to miss a bowl game. It's as simple as that. Can Matt Rule, with his philosophy, his culture that he's tried to instill, can he get Nebraska to find success in close ball games in the fourth quarter? If he can, I'm all in on this Husker team being able to make a bowl game and maybe get to 8 wins. But if you can't, 5-7 seems like it could be in the cards, or even 4-8. Close games is going to be a huge key. I've said turnovers before. Turnovers are going to be a huge key, but turnovers and winning in close games tend to go hand in hand. So
my biggest thing about the schedule, the way that it breaks down, I don't see a way for us to not get bowl eligible in this season, unless it's a really fall flat on your face in that Minnesota game. Minnesota's going to tell me a lot as to whether or not I think we're a 6-6 team or we're closer to that 8-9 win mark.
If you told me not to pick 6 wins and to pick one way or the other, I'm leaning closer to 5 wins than 7 wins. But, again,
but why? What game on the schedule would you push that direction?
I wouldn't even necessarily put it at a game specifically. It's more about Nebraska.
The only reason I'm asking you that is because the 2 that you were really 50-50 on, that you said I'm really 50-50, but I'm going to lean this way, were both losses that I put down on the column for you. Because you really leaned.
I got Minnesota as a definite 50-50, and I had them as a win. So.
Okay, that's fair. I don't remember the other 2 that you had, but I remember specifically when I was tallying these up, you were leaning, and I put them down as losses for you.
That's fine, because that would have been the Illinois and probably Michigan State games.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because I have those at 50-50 as well. I think Purdue is pretty close to a 50-50 game, but I have them as a win. I think it's more about Nebraska, and I understand that we have adults in the room, we have better coaching staff, we have probably better talent right now, and all those other things. We're a different program than what we have been over the last 5 years. But until we prove it, we are still a team that wins 3, 4, 5 games a year.
True.
So until we go out there and not do that, I'm still going to look at this program as a 3, 4, 5 win team. That's why I'm leaning closer to 5. If you're going to tell me not to pick 6, I'd lean closer to 5 than to 7.
Are you just doing that because of a number, though, or are you doing it because of games, like actually looking at the games?
Just history and just the way that the program is, the way
because of a number. Okay.
The mentality of the team. Like, you talked about the close games. Can we get over our own insecurities in adversity? We talked about it with that episode 3 of the Look In program. He's trying to build adversity and how to get out of adversity.
Yeah.
Until they show that they actually can in games, I'm going to unfortunately think that they can't.
I feel like a lot of that is a driver behind why he is pushing so hard for these transfer ins to be in leadership roles. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want the guys that have been here forever to be the only leaders like what we looked at. Last year we had a great transfer class too. And Frost basically told them all, fuck off, you can't be captains because you can't be leaders, you haven't been here long enough. We talked about that in the offensive preview when we talked about Jeff Sims and how he's already established as a true leader, whereas Casey Thompson was basically told to sit down and shut up because you're not a leader, you haven't been here long enough. That it's that type of a shift in him putting his faith in an MJ Sherman and a Casey Thompson and the list of other guys that he's brought in to say, hey dudes, you might not have played a bunch where you came from, or you might have played a bunch and not been that successful, but this is the way we're doing things. You're here for the purpose of following what we're doing, not what Nebraska was. And then he's also reminding them constantly, like you said, the practice you went to, he's yelling out, this is why you guys only won 4 games last year.
And haven't been in a bowl game in 5 years, yeah.
It's destroying that mentality that makes me believe that if you're going to err one way or the other, I think getting over the hump of those single-digit losses that constantly were just a shoot-yourself-in-the-foot moment sometime in the fourth quarter, it's got to be. Maybe I'm talking myself into it. I don't know.
And again, I believe that they possibly could do that. Until they do it, I can't justifiably sit here and say, yes, they will.
I'm with you.
It's, again, a wait and a see. I mean, I'm a prove-it guy. You have to prove it to me before I can go all in. So,
Matt, what are you going to do for the New Year's Day Bowl that you put us in?
not just New Year's Day, 11-1, we're in the playoff. So,
we might be, yeah. Shit.
I'm winning a lot of money, I guess. I don't know.
11-1, and we went to second overtime with Ohio State in the Big Ten championship.
I'll see you boys in Pasadena.
yeah.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.